Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Uzumaki Naruto naturally manifests the Mokuton would release Kekkei Genkai Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Alone. That is the only way to describe Uzumaki Naruto. At only 4 years of age, Naruto stood alone in a rundown apartment that the Hokage had gifted to him just a couple of hours ago, after the foster home he had lived in for as long as he could remember decided they did not want him there anymore. Matter of fact, for as long as Naruto could remember, his Aji-san would visit and have a conversation concerning him with the mothers at the foster home, and usually leave looking relieved and relaxed. This time, however, he seemed very grim and knelt down in front of Naruto, laying his hand on Naruto and put on a somber smile, saying, "Come, Naruto, let's go find a better place for you to live." Naruto did not necessarily like this idea, as he had never lived anywhere else but here before, but his Aji-san had never led him astray before, so with the utmost confidence a 4-year-old could muster, Naruto plastered on a big grin, and piped out, "Hi, Aji-san, but only if I can get ramen first." This caused the third Hokage to chuckle, as he rose and led the child to the exit of the prejudiced foster home. "You can have as much as you want." Eating that ramen was the happiest Naruto had been in a while. The owners of that restaurant were always kind to him, and even gave him a free bowl occasionally. However, since then all Naruto had felt was sadness and loneliness. He was alone in this apartment, after the Hokage explained how he would be receiving something called a stipend every 2 weeks to buy things, something Naruto had not had to handle before. "Sigh, I guess I might as well head out for a walk, not much else for me to do here," Naruto theorized. He did not have any friends to hang out with, and no one to care about what he did, so Naruto just kept walking aimlessly around Konoha. Little did he know that was all about to change for him. "Let me have one now, Itachi and I," begged a young 4-year-old Uchiha Sasuke, as he tried in vain to snatch one of the tomatoes his elder brother was carrying in a grocery bag. "I will never understand this child's obsession with tomatoes," Uchiha Itachi thought to himself in an exasperated tone. As the pair continued down the road back toward the Uchiha compound, Itachi saw a group of about 3 adult men surrounding something by a light post, and his curiosity piqued, as these men seemed to be debating among themselves rather vehemently. His curiosity winning out, Itachi allowed Sasuke to munch on one of the tomatoes they purchased in exchange for watching all of the groceries while Itachi eavesdropped on the group of men. Itachi approached in a way he would not be noticed, which was easy enough to the prodigious Uchiha considering his targets were civilians. As Itachi settled behind a small stone wall on the side of the men, he began to listen in on their conversation. Come on Yashuji, the Hokage will have our heads if we do anything to the bastard." "That is only if he gets proof, Ichiju. The damn demon is asleep. It won't take much to kill it and not leave a trace. Besides, the village would be thankful anyways, right Drar-san?" "Hi, there's no way he'll know it was us. Besides, no one has ever actually harmed the demon before. We'll be the first and last." "What the hell are these men talking about? Demon?" They couldn't. Itachi trailed off as he leapt up onto a small establishment above the 3 men, where he could view what the 3 men had been debating about around the light post. A young blonde child lay asleep by the post as the 3 men debated above him. A child? It must be. As Itachi realized what the situation was, he witnessed one of the men, Yashuji, withdraw a pocket knife and begin to draw it back, aiming towards the young sleeping boy. However, his aim would never meet his mark, as when Yashuji began to swing down to take the life of the village pariah, he suddenly felt a tight grip on his wrist, just inches from the neck of his target. "And Nanny?" sputtered out Yashuji as he looked to his right to see a young child, perhaps 8 or 9, looking at him with glowing red eyes. "Leave now. This incident will be reported to Hokage-sama and I hope you are prepared for the consequences." Itachi spit out with disgust, as he loosened his iron-tight grip on the much older Yashuji, who immediately backed up and began to soothe his aching wrist. "That damn Gaki, he almost broke it," exclaimed Yashuji, but his anger and scowl on his face quickly turned into a smirk, as behind Itachi, one of the other men, Drar, aimed a punch at the boy's head, but that disgusting smirk quickly turned into a look of astonishment. "HRK!" exclaimed Drar, as the child who he saw was in front of him suddenly melted away and a foot was kicked into his jugular, followed by a powerful punch to the side of his temple, and fell face first into the dirt, knocked out cold. Ichiju, the only one who seemed to have any common sense about the place they all resided in, finally got over his shock and exclaimed, "Uchiha!" seeing Itachi's 3 Tomo Sharingan spinning threateningly. "Leave, before I decide to deal with you on my own. Then again, that might be a blessing for you compared to what Hokage-sama will do," disclosed Itachi to the remaining 2 conscious members of the idiotic trio, who after grabbing their passed-out friend, scampered off, most likely to figure out the fastest way out of Konoha. Itachi sighed and shook his head as he started to move back towards Sasuke. Of course, people hated Naruto-kun, but to think someone would actually make an attempt on his life, Itachi continued to ponder as he strode back to his brother, until a sudden shout of "Oi!" stopped him in his tracks. He turned back around towards the lamppost to find a young Naruto, staring at him with stars in his eyes. "You're a ninja, aren't you? How else could you have beat up someone so much older than you?" Itachi did not know if that was more of a question than a statement by the young blonde, as the child scampered up to him, with clear amazement still plastered on his face. With another exasperated sigh, honestly, who knows how many times at this point, Itachi knelt down towards the child and put on a small smile. "Hi, I am a chunin for our village," Itachi said as he watched the child's face turn into one of confusion. "Chunin? I don't know what that is, but that must mean you're a ninja," exclaimed Naruto, as he gave the Uchiha a foxy grin. Itachi stared at Naruto with a deadpan expression, but shook it off as he realizes the boy does not have anyone to really speak to about these things. "Nisan, what is taking so long?" This caused both Itachi to turn around to see a struggling Sasuke, carrying a load of groceries all over his body towards them, and face plant into the dirt from the weight and awkwardness of which he was carrying them. Itachi's deadpan-stricken face returned as Naruto fell to the ground bawling in laughter. For the 100th time that day, Itachi sighed as he helped his Ototo up and placed him on his shoulders, while collecting the groceries. Sasuke, as he got situated on his brother's shoulders, glared childishly at the blonde boy across from him, who had just stopped giggling and was walking up to them. "It's not funny," snapped Sasuke, as he folded his arms and pointed his nose into the air, in an imitation of being snobbish. However, when he peeked down, he saw the boy who looked like he was enjoying himself thoroughly a second ago immediately looked anxious and apologetic, which shocked the younger Uchiha. Itachi smiled seeing the interaction and decided to have everyone introduce themselves. "What is your name, future ninja of Konoha?" inquired Itachi, which immediately caused Naruto to perk up and smile sheepishly at the brothers. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and one day I will become the Hokage." Itachi looked surprised at the last bit, but quickly let the surprise drop away as he gestured for Naruto to walk along with them. Sasuke, on the other hand, looked at Naruto with interest because this is the first other child he was meeting besides himself that was interested in becoming a ninja. Well, besides the other clan heirs he had met through formalities, but they didn't really count because he never actually spoke to them. "Well, hello, Naruto-kun, my name is Uchiha Itachi, it is nice to formally meet you. This is my Itachi and let me introduce myself," exclaimed Sasuke, as he repeatedly patted the top of Itachi's head to get him to stop. A tick mark appeared on Itachi's forehead as he let Sasuke begin his introduction after he finished pelting his elder brother with his powerful sticky tomato juice slaps. "Hi, I'm Uchiha Sasuke, and I plan on becoming I will become a great ninja one day, just like Itachi and exclaimed Sasuke, as he grinned towards Naruto from atop his brother's shoulders. Naruto stared at Sasuke in amazement as he had also never met anyone his age that wanted to be a ninja, let alone another child that was willing to speak to him. The two began to chatter on about ninjas, and what their lives will be like, much of which was Sasuke telling Naruto facts about how being a ninja was and how it worked in a proud fashion, as Naruto listened on and copied what Sasuke was saying into a notable "Wait, when did he get a notebook?" Itachi asked himself incredulously, as the child was writing down everything Sasuke told him. Granted, he must have only learned how to write recently since it was rather sloppy, but he copied it down nonetheless. As the three conversed and had a good time, they eventually ended up at the Uchiha compound where Itachi stopped in front of the gates and turned towards Naruto, who, unlike a moment ago, was looking very meek and disheartened. After all, he had just met people other than his Aji-san, the old ramen cook, and his daughter, who were willing to talk to him and befriend him, and he was sad as he did not know whether he would see them again or not. Itachi, realizing the dilemma Naruto was probably having, thought for a moment, and quickly came to a decision. "Naruto-kun, would you like to have dinner with us? I can take you back home afterwards," offered Itachi, to which Sasuke eagerly nodded his head in agreement with, wanting to spend more time with his new friend. The child in question looked on in surprise and disbelief at them. He quickly shook his head and stared at the ground. "You guys have family, right? I don't think they would want me around, so I will just..." His words stopped as suddenly Sasuke leaped from his brother's shoulders in a leapfrog fashion, straight onto Naruto, who proceeded to make a sound similar to that of a dying goat and fall on his back and stare up at Sasuke, who was glaring childishly at him. "Hey, why were you trying to get away so fast? We just became friends, come eat, Ka-san makes really good nemono stew. Besides, I haven't finished telling you about the ninja world, if you want to be in the same business as me you better step up your game, or Sasuke trailed off as he slowly noticed Naruto was tearing up and quickly got off him and helped him up. Hey Naruto, I didn't hurt you, did I? I'm sorry if I did, but… Friends? Naruto interrupted in the middle of Sasuke's apology. He could hardly believe the words that had exited the younger Uchiha's mouth. Naruto has never had a friend before and couldn't believe his ears. Sasuke stared at him bewildered. Yeah, we're friends now, right? There's no way you're just gonna walk away and not speak to me or Nissan anymore, right? Questioned Sasuke. After all, Sasuke had friends, but they were all kids in his clan. Naruto was the first real friend he made outside of his family, and the young boy was excited about it, but he couldn't understand why Naruto would cry over them becoming Tomodachi. Itachi, who silently watched the interaction, decided to set the groceries down and kneel next to both boys, and gave a small head tilt and smiled towards Naruto as he said, Naruto-kun, trust me, our family will not mind you coming to eat dinner with us. In fact, if you wish you may come over every night for dinner if you so please. If need be I will convince Sasuke and I's mother, which I doubt she will need much of. You're our friend now, Naruto-kun, so come, eat with us. Itachi encouraged, as Sasuke stared with a big smile on his face, nodding his head excitedly. Naruto could hardly believe the words coming from the both of them. Had he truly found people who cared about him? Wiping the tears from his eyes, Naruto shook his head and slapped his cheeks to get himself out of the disbelieving train of thought he was in and gave the pair of brothers a big foxy grin. Hi, I can't wait to try her stew, Sasuke. Alright, let's go, I can show you some souvenirs my brother gave me from missions he's been on already, exclaimed Sasuke as he ran with Naruto towards their home. Itachi chuckled as he picked up the groceries he set down and followed after them at a more leisurely pace. This will be good for Naruto-kun, and Sasuke too, he thought to himself. As they arrived, the younger boys already went inside, but something told Itachi to look back before he entered his home, and his left eyebrow raised high. The trees surrounding their compound seemed lively, to the point it was unnatural. The garden seemed to have more life than it did before he and Sasuke left, with flowers bloomed more brightly than they had at any point in the past that Itachi had witnessed. I wonder if I am just imagining things, the Uchiha prodigy mumbled to himself as he walked into his home, not realizing the significance the little trip to the grocery store had on the impact to not just Konoha, but the shinobi world itself. 2 years later. Itachi-sensei, look, I can finally do it! Exclaimed an exuberant Naruto as he stood atop a 20-meter deep lake, looking across the water towards the shore at one of his first friends, turned teacher. It took you long enough, I finished this exercise 2 days ago, your control sucks, Sasuke stated bluntly, who had just finished target practice with his kunai and shuriken, lazily staring towards his best friend. Sasuke team, shut up before I kick your ass! The young blonde exclaimed as he made a surprisingly acrobatic dash across the lake he was on towards the Uchiha brothers. As the close friends bickered between one another, Uchiha Itachi continued to look on stoically, but in his head his mind was racing. These kids are geniuses, he thought to himself, trying to keep his composure. It had only been 9 days since he assigned these 6-year-olds the water walking exercise, and Sasuke, who had just been practicing with his ninja tools, completed it in just a measly week. However, Itachi was truly caught off guard by Naruto, who had completed such a difficult task for actual shinobi 8 years his senior, in just 9 days, while containing a Bijuu, who undoubtedly threw Naruto's chakra control to hell thanks to the excess amounts of chakra he had. In fact, it should not have been possible for Naruto to do such a feat, and yet the same thing occurred 3 months earlier when he taught the 2 aspiring shinobi the tree walking exercise. Itachi was very impressed with where the development of his younger brother and his best friend was headed, since if they kept down the path they were on, they would truly become splendid shinobi one day. Chi or Itachi, stop zoning out and do what you promised you would, pined the young Uzumaki. Promise? What promise did I? That's right, the Uchiha prodigy recalled. Just 1 year earlier, Itachi began training the young duo of Naruto and Sasuke. Towards the beginning he only planned to teach them small things, basically a crash course of what they would be learning for their first year in the academy, which started for them when they turned 6. However, everything Itachi threw at them, they ate it up. About 2 months into Itachi beginning to train them, they began begging Itachi to teach them jutsu that they could kick the other nation's ass with. To get them to shut up, Itachi promised that when they were able to master the basic E-rank jutsu, and able to complete the tree and water walking exercises, he would begin teaching them jutsu, and after hearing that, they threw themselves even harder into training. Of course, he had already planned to begin teaching Sasuke the Uchiha's rite of passage, the Gokakyu no Jutsu, Great Fireball Technique, when he turned 6, but the fact in just a year both his little brother and Naruto were able to complete everything to such a degree astonished him. Well, almost everything. Naruto had trouble with one of the E-rank jutsu, but thanks to the Sandaime, they were able to overcome it. Flashback. Alright, here it goes, Bunshin no Jutsu, clone technique, exclaimed a 5-year-old Uzumaki Naruto, as Itachi, Sasuke, and the Sandaime Hokage of Konohagakure, Sarutobi Hiruzen, watched on. It's just as Itachi-kun told me, the veteran Hokage thought to himself. A few days earlier, Itachi stopped by to mention a problem with Naruto's ability, or lack thereof, to use the clone technique. As Hiruzen watched the young Uzumaki sigh in frustration as Sasuke smirked and tried to hold in his childish giggles, he was working out the possibilities as to why the blonde wasn't able to perform such a technique, after he proved he could do the Kawarimi, substitution technique, and Henge, transformation technique, perfectly. However, it did not take long for the professor to figure out the most likely cause of the matter. Excuse me, Naruto-kun, would you mind channeling your chakra for me, said Hiruzen, interrupting Naruto chasing after the younger Uchiha, after he failed in containing his composure when Naruto's failed Bunshin attempted to crawl around before dissipating. Sure, Ji-san, said Naruto, coming to a halt, as he calmly began to channel his chakra as his surrogate grandfather instructed. Hiruzen was not pleased with the display, as he felt Naruto was holding back, even though the child was already showing having a chakra capacity close to that of a Chunin. Naruto, don't hold yourself back, push yourself to your limits, show me why you should be the next one to wear this hat. Hiruzen encouraged, which worked on the impressionable young blonde, as he did not want to disappoint someone like the Sandaime. As Naruto began to channel more chakra than he had ever before, Naruto's hands slipped into a hand sign that felt the most natural to him, one that he felt made him let his chakra flow much more easily than any other. Hiruzen, who was busy pulling Sasuke back from Naruto, who began to outpour insane amounts of chakra, did not notice what Naruto did, but Itachi caught the hand sign Naruto slipped into using during his display. Hibi snake? Itachi realized, before Hiruzen yelled at Naruto to stop. Amazing, Hiruzen thought to himself in wonder as Sasuke stared at Naruto dumbfounded. The youngest Uchiha had never in his life felt that much chakra come from one person before. His reserves are above Jonin level, and he's only 5 years old, the Sandaime thought bewilderedly. As Naruto was staring at him expectantly, waiting for an explanation as to why he wanted him to do that, Hiruzen shook off his surprise and chalked it up to the fact that Naruto was a Jinchuriki, of the Kyuubi no less, and an Uzumaki, who were known to have abnormally large chakra reserves. Hiruzen approached the young child and knelt to be eye level with him. There was no way Naruto was going to be able to lower his chakra enough to use a Bunshin at this age, and his reserves were only going to increase, so the Sandaime decided to take a gamble. Naruto-kun, I am afraid you are not going to be able to ever get that Bunshin technique down. As soon as he heard those words, the young Uzumaki immediately became crestfallen as he began to stare hard at the ground. But I may have a substitution of sorts that you may come to appreciate more, Hiruzen finished cryptically, and that certainly was enough to pique Naruto's attention. Flashback end. As Itachi went to his bag he brought with him that contained what he needed to begin this training, he honestly had an underlying objective that no one else knew about. For the past 2 years Itachi has known the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Certain strange things began happening when Naruto felt a strong emotion. Itachi had no idea what to make of it the first few times he witnessed these strange phenomena. He would literally see the trees around him become more vibrant and grow rich with color, or have the opposite happen, and begin to lose its vibrancy and color. In Konoha there should be no reason that leaves should begin falling in July from any tree. Of course, this all could have merely been coincidental, Kami-sama perhaps playing tricks on him. However, the day that Hiruzen asked Naruto to display his chakra to its fullest extent, Itachi was the only one who caught it. As Hiruzen led Naruto away, and Sasuke followed, refusing to allow Naruto to get a free jutsu since it was unfair to him, Itachi was the only one who witnessed what truly happened when Naruto switched to the Hibi hand sign. The same things that Itachi had been seeing on a few occasions happened to an insane degree. He witnessed flowers bloom from the dirt, and the few trees they were around seemed to move and gravitate towards the young blonde. Itachi was too stunned from what he witnessed to stop the Hokage from leaving and reporting what had happened. However, if Itachi was going to report such a thing to the Hokage, he had to make absolutely sure, and that is what he aimed to do today. Itachi and I, what's taking so long? Sasuke said in an exasperated tone, having grown bored of teasing Naruto of finishing his water walking training days after him. Nothing at all, Sasuke, Itachi replied, as he returned back with 2 pieces of what seemed like normal paper as large as an adult male's palm. Naruto, who finally stopped muttering about how he'd pranked the hell out of his best friend, took notice of what Itachi had and a deadpan expression garnished his face. Oh Itachi, you said we would be learning jutsu, not practicing writing. Naruto complained. Itachi just looked at the two of them as he raised the 2 pieces of paper for the boys to see clearly. This is needed for you boys to begin practicing elemental ninjutsu. You remember our lesson about the 5 natural chakra natures, correct? Well, to determine which one or ones you both have, you must use chakra paper to find out, explained the elder child. I guess that makes sense, Sasuke muttered as he grabbed one of the chakra papers from his brother. Mind if I go first, Naruto? Sasuke asked as the boy in question grabbed his own sheet from Itachi. Go ahead, at least if you mess up first, I'll be able to laugh, replied the Uzumaki, which caused Sasuke to get a tick mark on his forehead, but he ignored the remark. Alright Sasuke, just channel your chakra into the paper. One or more of these things will happen. If your paper crinkles up, it means you have an affinity towards Raiden, lightning release. If your paper ends up being split in half, it means you have an affinity tailored towards Futon, wind style. If your paper burst into flames, it means that you acquired Katon, fire release, as an affinity. If it turns into dirt and crumbles away, that simply means your affinity is Doton, earth release. Finally, if the chakra paper turns damp with water, it means you have a Suiton, water release, affinity. Sasuke nodded his head, taking the advice and knowledge from his brother to heart. Following his brother's instructions, Sasuke channeled his chakra into the sheet of paper, and the first thing that took place was the chakra paper crumbled into a very tiny ball enough to start folding itself around Sasuke's thumb, before bursting into flames. Itachi stared at the ash remains of his Ototo's chakra paper with clear interest. Considering what took place first, he was going to confidently say Sasuke's primary affinity was lightning, but it appears his affinity towards fire is just as strong. Huh! Does this mean I have two affinities, Itachi and I? Inquired Sasuke, clearly excited about what he just did. Hi Sasuke, you have a primary affinity towards lightning, but your affinity towards fire seems just as strong if I am being honest, Itachi informed him, still impressed by his younger brother. Whoa, Sasuke! Naruto praised as Sasuke sauntered back next to Itachi with a small smirk on his face, clearly proud of himself. Arigato, Naruto, now let's see you top that, Sasuke challenged, feeling confident Naruto would at most tie him in affinities. Alright, here we go, Naruto exclaimed as he placed his hand out for all three of the boys to see, as he channeled his chakra into the sheet of paper. None of them expected to witness what they did. As soon as Naruto began to channel his chakra into the paper, three different things happened. 1. Naruto's chakra paper split in half violently. Next, the piece on the left that was cut became drenched with water, while the other piece crumbled into dirt to such a degree that it blew away into the wind. All three of them watched the dirt blow away into the wind expressionless, until a few seconds afterwards, as Naruto exclaimed, "White Kekkei, Sasuke, it looks like I beat you, I have 3 affinities," gloated Naruto as he hopped around Sasuke, whose tick mark came back faster than ever as he punched Naruto on the top of the head, making him halt, and soothed his head as he yelled at his best friend. While the boys were arguing about their affinities, Itachi was still looking in the direction of the dirt that blew away. This is exactly what I thought would happen, but the Futon affinity was unexpected. Regardless, now that I have seen Naruto do this, it's time to reach the bottom of this, Itachi told himself, as he approached the boys, who had calmed down and were already conversing about the jutsu combinations they could have together. Naruto-kun, please come here for a moment, the elder Uchiha interjected. The child in question gave Itachi a foxy grin and asked him what he needed. Alright Naruto-kun, please make the Hebe hand seal, and imagine your Suiton and Doton affinities meshing into one, and release your chakra. Does that make sense? Itachi asked the child. What the heck is he asking me? Naruto thought dumbfounded for a few seconds, but he shook his head and decided to humor Itachi. I'm not sure if I can completely follow what you want from me, but I will try my best, Itachi-sensei, Naruto replied with a mock salute, as he got himself prepared to try and do what his teacher requested. Itachi beckoned a confused Sasuke towards him, as Naruto got into a stance with his feet a little larger than shoulder width apart, and clasped his hands together in the Hebe, snake, seal. Alright, thought Naruto, mold my chakra how Itachi-sensei has been teaching me, and try to imagine my Suiton and Doton affinities. Before the blonde could even finish his thought, Itachi's suspicions for the past 2 years were confirmed. Naruto, who had been standing on the training ground a moment ago, was now 6 meters in the air, standing atop a large arch, made out of wood. Nani, Naruto exclaimed as he freaked out about suddenly being way higher in the air than he was prepared to be in that moment. While Naruto was freaking out, Sasuke stared up at him with his mouth ajar. As a potential clan heir, Sasuke was made to study the Hidden Leaf's history early, but even if he didn't, everyone in Hai no Kuni, Land of Fire, everyone in the world would know exactly what it was that they just witnessed. Mokutan, uttered Itachi in amazement. He had his suspicions, and they continued to grow over the years he had known Naruto, but to truly see the proof of it right in front of him was. No one could prepare to see something like this the right way. Senju Hashirama, the Shodai Hokage, became known as the god of shinobi thanks to his Kekkei Genkai, and single-handedly brought about the change that is now known as hidden villages, matched by no one except Uchiha Madara. The only thing about his Kekkei Genkai is he is the only human to ever manifest it naturally, making him the only known true user of Mokuton. Except, now Naruto has just proven he can create the same feat that the former god of shinobi could. Before Itachi could even gather himself to say anything, he felt the chakra signature approaching, and in a gust of wind, Hiruzen Sarutobi appeared via Sunshin, body flicker technique. Itachi! Hiruzen barked, causing Itachi to regain his composure and kneel in front of his commander. Hi, Sandaime-sama. He answered robotically. What is the meaning of this? Hiruzen exclaimed. He had decided to check on Naruto through his crystal ball in the Hokage Tower, and came just in time to witness his surrogate grandson use an ability he thought died with one of his deceased predecessors. Allow me to explain. Holy shit, did I do that? Interrupted the foul-mouthed 6-year-old as he had already climbed down and stood next to his best friend, as they both gawked at the large arch created through Naruto's newly found ability. Itachi sighed, as he told the two boys to come towards him since they were the only four who had witnessed it. They might as all hear what Itachi had to say. So that is exactly what happened. Itachi ended up explaining his experiences with seeing abnormal occurrences in nature, that only happened when Naruto was around, and what occurred when Naruto released his chakra for Hiruzen last year. He explained his thoughts and what he decided to do to see if his theories were correct, and it turns out they were. The Sandaime, Naruto, and Sasuke all listened dumbfoundedly to Itachi's 2-year trial on figuring out Naruto's Kekkei Genkai. After hearing everything, the Sandaime glared at his subordinate. Why did you not inform me about such a development if you suspected something, Itachi? He demanded. Forgive me, Sandaime-sama, Itachi apologized. I did not wish to come to you until I knew for sure based off my own findings. I will take any punishment you decide to give me, the prodigal Uchiha stated. Hiruzen sighed tiredly, and dropping his anger and allowing it to be replaced with understanding. Well, what is done, besides, you will be joining Umbu in the next 2 weeks anyways. That is punishment enough. Rise, the professor said, forgiving Itachi. Now that he had gotten the story, his eyes fell onto Naruto, who was staring off into space, probably in shock from learning something about himself to this magnitude. How? Hiruzen asked himself. Should it have been possible for Naruto to gain such a rare ability at all? Hiruzen thought about it and figured that since he is an Uzumaki, who are distant relatives to the Senju, it might be slightly possible, but the chance of it actually happening is almost impossible. Sasuke stared at Naruto enviously. His best friend just found out he had a Kekkei Genkai, one that can rival the Sharingan of all things. He looked down towards his hands and gripped them, grinning anxiously, as he realized Naruto was pulling away from him. I won't lose Naruto and I, Sasuke thought to himself, swearing he will work harder than he ever would have had Naruto not been there. While Sasuke was making a one-sided promise to Naruto in his head, Hiruzen began talking to Naruto about what this new discovery means. Okay, Naruto-kun, listen to me. Until I judge that you are strong enough to hold your own in this world, you are not allowed to tell anyone else about this ability of yours. If the wrong people found out, they will come and they will try to kill you, or worse, understand? Swear it to me. The Sandaime demanded of his surrogate grandson, who nodded vigorously and chirped back, Hi Aji-san, I won't, just you wait, I'll become strong before you know it, with a foxy grin on his face. This made Hiruzen chuckle. Itachi's discovery will become a huge deal for Konoha in the future, if not the shinobi world in general. As he stared at Naruto, who had such a fire in his eyes to do exactly what his Ji-san requested of him, Hiruzen had a brazen idea. Naruto-kun, what if I told you I know someone who can help you control this ability of yours? 1 year later. Mokuton, Moku no Goku Renan, would release, would pull combo, shouted a 7-year-old Uzumaki Naruto, as he slapped his hands together in the snake seal and leapt from the top of the trees in Training Ground 0, one of 8 secret training grounds in Konoha for special members of the Leaf's forces. A spear of wood emerged from the bark of the tree he leapt from, which he grabbed in midair and launched at his opponent. Mokuton, Mokujihiki, would release, would locking wall, his opponent countered, as wooden pillars sprouted in front of him, forming a defensive wall, which Naruto's spear impacted against, being successfully stopped. The young Uzumaki was smart though, as while his opponent was casting his own jutsu, Naruto made a mad dash to get behind him, and began throwing shuriken hoping to catch his opponent off guard. However, to his surprise, his shuriken met their mark, entering his opponent's back. Naruto gasped, as he had expected the man to dodge somehow before Naruto finished him. Sensei, the blonde exclaimed as he began to run towards his apparent instructor, before he felt cold steel be placed against his neck, causing the Uzumaki to pause and stride. Being careful not to let his neck be sliced, Naruto looked up, catching the eyes of his apparent sensei who was grinning down at him. But how did you? Naruto trailed off, as he looked back to the place where he thought he struck his sensei with his shuriken. Instead, what he found was a wooden figure with shuriken piercing it. Moku Bunshin no Jutsu, wood clone technique, the man said, before withdrawing his kunai from his student's neck. That should have been an obvious possibility, Naruto. Whatever, Tenzo-sensei, the score is 37-1, which means you still let a kid beat you before. The child replied haughtily, causing the man, Tenzo, to gain a tick mark on his head. You definitely cheated that one time, Tenzo thought to himself, remembering the day the Uzumaki decided to test out his newly dubbed sexy jutsu on him. Oh, how proud Jiraiya-sama would be seeing that image. Tenzo became the sensei to one Uzumaki Naruto last year, after discoveries were made of the boy's ability to use Mokuton. The Sandaime, wanting to ensure the boy would be able to control his rare ability, assigned Tenzo to teach and look over him. The reason being that Tenzo was able to use Mokuton himself, thanks to an illegal experiment involving injecting cells of the Shodaime into young children, conducted by Konoha's most infamous living nuke-nin, Orochimaru. Although his own use of the revered Kekkei Genkai is nothing like the original in terms of power or capabilities since his was artificially made, no one could be a better teacher to Naruto for this. Alright, sensei, I have to go get Sasuke. I know he's training currently, and if I don't, he'll miss class, the Uzumaki stated hurriedly as he got his things together before leaving. Okay, Naruto, don't forget tomorrow is a free day, try to actually get some rest this time around, okay? Tenzo shouted after his student, who replied with a measly wave as he descended from the training ground back towards Konoha. Tenzo could not help but smile as the boy left. He truly was a prodigal genius when it came to the ninja arts. The shocking thing is, it seemed his best friend was the same way to him, judging from the few training sessions Naruto brought him along to. Regardless, understood the basics of Mokuton well and ate up all the information Tenzo told and showed him. That kid is gonna be a huge asset to our village in the future, the Mokuton user said aloud, before continuing his own personal training before needing to meet with the Sandaime. Uchiha Compound Training Ground. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Fireball Jutsu, Uchiha Sasuke voiced after rushing through the 6 hand seals required, proceeding to unleash a large ball of fire towards the dummy 15 meters away, engulfing it in an explosion of flames. Yosha, breathed the young boy out of breath. He's been training to increase his chakra reserves ever since seeing Naruto expel such copious amounts of chakra effortlessly, so after almost every practice session he had, if they weren't already, Sasuke aimed to use most of his chakra, straining his reserves so that when they replenished, they'd be a little bigger each time. His idea has worked well so far. After 2 years of doing this, the 7-year-old had reached mid-Chunin level reserves, which was beyond impressive for a child his age. I have a long way to go still, the young Uchiha thought to himself. He refused to let his best friend pull away from him in any sort of way, and because he's had such good positive motivation to not fall behind, Uchiha Sasuke has come a lot farther than he would have had his blonde best friend not been there. Alright, one more jutsu before I have to leave for class, muttered the prodigal young Uchiha. He finally was able to convince his elder brother to give him a scroll for a new Katon jutsu a few weeks ago, after showing off how exceptional he had become with his Gokakyu no Jutsu. Itachi had joined the Umbu the previous year, and did not have time to teach Sasuke or Naruto anymore, but he still gave his brother pointers when it was possible, but it was clear his brother was growing distant, most likely an effect the Umbu has on its members. Alright, last one, Sasuke exclaimed as he ran through the required hand seals, Katon Hozenka no. Oh aye, Sasuke-chan, Naruto bellowed as he came crashing into the training ground, startling Sasuke, who proceeded to choke on his premature jutsu, coughing up smoke. Naru cough 2, you bast cough guard, the Uchiha choked out, attempting to catch his breath. The boy in question narrowed his eyes at his best friend and puckered his lips before saying, you know, considering what I just witnessed from you, that chakra paper might have been faulty when it said you had an affinity towards Phi dash. He didn't get the chance to finish as the Uchiha punched him on the head, clearly annoyed with the blonde's antics. Geez, you violent jerk, I just came to get you for class, Naruto spit out as he soothed his throbbing temple. Sasuke just sighed as he gathered his belongings before he and Naruto began walking towards his home to freshen up quickly before the end of week 1 of their second year at the academy. You know, Naruto, Sasuke began as they walked, causing Naruto to stop animatedly soothing his temple from Sasuke's earlier strike. We've never sparred all out between us before, have we? Questioned the raven-haired boy. The young Uzumaki stared at his Uchiha counterpart, who faced forward as they continued to walk. Now that I think about it, Sasuke and I really never have faced each other all out before, huh? The blonde asked himself. Nah, we really haven't. I guess we'll have to change that sometime, Sasuke, Naruto replied, giving him a foxy grin. Today, after our lessons at the academy, Sasuke stated abruptly, before he picked up pace as he ran full speed back to his house. Yeah, after Todd, wait, today? Naruto shouted, as he chased after his best friend, excitement and anxiety building in him at the interesting proposition. The academy, Konohagakure. Okay class, today the other teachers and I decided to end the week on a more exciting note, Yumino Iruka, Chunin and teacher at the academy, announced to his class, causing them all to suddenly perk up. Iruka had been their teacher since last year, and they already knew how boring his lectures were, which is what almost every class of his ended up being. However, hearing Iruka mention ending the week on a more exciting note, everyone perked up, looking forward to anything that did not relate to his lackluster lectures. Allow me to explain, the Chunin began, starting this week, and at the end of every other week, we will hold practice sparring session tournaments. You have all completed your first year here, which did not require much going outside, but as a ninja, almost everything you'll learn out there in our school's training ground will be needed on the fields. So, besides everything else we will eventually implement as our curriculum expands, you all must get used to hand-to-hand combat. However, many of you do not have a taijutsu fighting style yet, and that is okay. Eventually you will learn the academy taijutsu, so for now the tournament is just for fun, but eventually it will be a ranked and graded assessment. Now follow me, Iruka concluded, as he began cleaning his desk area before heading out of the classroom towards the school's training fields. Ha, well, since it's athletic, I'll definitely come out on top, boasted the heir of one of Konoha's top ninja clans, Inuzuka Kiba, as his Niken, ninja hound, Akamaru yipped in agreement from atop his head. Ha, yeah right, dog breath, everyone knows Sasuke-kun is the best at everything to do with being a shinobi, and that includes the athletic part, snobbed Hirono Sakura, as she made a disgusted face at the Inuzuka. Sasuke, huh, Sakura? I guess she just wants to copy everything I do, and like anyone I like, a young Yamanaka Ino thought to herself. Ino, also belonging to one of the 8 top ninja clans in Konoha, the Yamanaka, who were known for their mind-related techniques, believed herself to be the best candidate for the top kunoichi. At first, she figured the other girl belonging to a royal clan of Konoha, Hyuga Hinata, might be a rival for that position, but after meeting the girl and seeing her timid nature, Ino confidently crossed her off the list for that area. Besides, Sasuke is clearly going to be the top of the class when we graduate, so it's perfect for the top kunoichi and rookie of the year to be paired together, nah? Ino asked herself dreamily, as she began to stare in his direction. However, as soon as her eyes landed on the Uchiha, instead of seeing the normal, relaxed, cool Sasuke, she witnessed a blonde boy next to him whap him on the top of the head, before screaming, "Revenge!" as he ran out of the classroom to catch up with Iruka. Ino watched on, dumbfounded, as Sasuke picked his head up, rubbing the spot the other boy hit with his right hand, as his face turned red with embarrassment. Naruto A/N, LMAO first one of the story, Sasuke seethed, as he dashed clumsily out of the room after his friend, shoving others out of the way to reach him. Ino and the rest remaining in the class had a deadpan expression on their face as they watched the ordeal. Well, that was out of character, Kiba stated bluntly, as everyone remaining nodded twice to his words in unison. Shaking off what she just witnessed, Ino began following the rest of the class outside. Uzumaki Naruto, huh? Ino thought to herself. Ino had never talked to the boy, as if she could. Whenever Ino was with her friends and he came around, her friends' parents ushered them away, telling them to never interact with that boy, because all he was trouble. It got to the point Ino asked her own parents about it. Her father, the head of the clan, Yamanaka Inoichi, simply told her one thing before going back to his work. Make the decision that you will feel comfortable with in the end. Ino was only 6 when she first asked that question, so she did not necessarily understand what her father meant, but she decided to continue not to interact with him, since that's what everyone else she hung out with did. The only people she ever saw interact with the Uzumaki boy was Kiba, Akimichi Chuji, who was the clan heir to the Akimichi clan, Nara Shikamaru, who was the clan heir to the Nara clan, and obviously Uchiha Sasuke. Unlike the other 3, who were around Naruto only on occasion, Sasuke and Naruto were always together. It was almost as if they were conjoined at the hip. The boy was intriguing to Ino, as she wondered how he got so close to Sasuke, but nonetheless, he couldn't be anything she had to really waste her time wondering about. Academy's training grounds. Ino arrived at the training grounds, seeing Sasuke sitting on a slightly roughed-up Naruto, who was pouting about Sasuke being a sore loser. As the rest of the class arrived, Iruka began to explain what was about to take place. Okay class, before you arrived, the bracket was already predetermined at random selection. The only ways to obtain victory and move on to the next round is if you make your opponent forfeit, or your opponent steps out of bounds of the sectioned area. Our first spar isn't meant to be too intense, so for the first few tournaments we hold, advancing by knockout is prohibited, and if that occurs, you will be disqualified. Does everyone understand the rules? Irika asked his students, to which everyone nodded their heads in understanding. Okay then, first match on side 1, Renji-kun vs. Dai-kun, Irika stated, as the two boys entered the ring nervously. Yeah, I think I'm just going to not pay attention to something as boring as this. Ino deadpanned as she watched the match start, and Dai immediately face planted after a missed kick-punch combination thing he aimed at Renji. As the matches continued, Ino didn't really pay attention until it was her turn, too busy conversing with the girls and gossiping over the boys, mainly Sasuke. Next match, Ino-chan vs. Hinata-chan, Irika called out. Alright, let's get this done with, Ino confidently said as she walked towards the tournament area. As she walked by Sakura, who was pitted against Abirame Shino, heir to the renowned Bug User clan, the Pinkette spit out, "Good luck, Ino pig, don't get beaten too hard." Normally Ino would have took the bait and started a yelling match with Sakura, but this time all she did was snort at Sakura, who forfeited her match after she saw bugs coming out from underneath Shino's shirt. As Ino entered the tournament's arena, which was just a sectioned-off area of grass, she stared across the arena towards her opponent, who, when caught Ino's eyes, immediately looked away towards the ground, clearly nervous and uncomfortable being the center of everyone's attention. Ino smirked to herself seeing this, getting into a pseudo-fighting stance she'd seen her father use occasionally, and prepared herself to end this fight with the Hyuga girl fast. "Hajime," Irika exclaimed. As soon as Hinata heard those words, she quickly entered the stance for the Juken, Gentle Fist, which was known only to her clan, and activated her Byakugan, before charging the Yamanaka heiress. Ino, who had never sparred against someone her age seriously, and who was expecting an easy win over the Hyuga girl, couldn't move as she saw Hinata suddenly appear before her, as the Hyuga heiress seemed to quickly tap Ino's body and shoulders 6 times before jumping away. Ino, who finally got over her surprise at this different Hinata, suddenly dropped to the ground in a heap, holding her midsection while moaning in pain. "Ayano, Irika-sensei, please call the match S so I can reopen her C chakra points," Hinata timidly requested. Irika, along with the rest of the class, stared in disbelief at the Hyuga heiress, not expecting her to be that capable in a fight. "I don't want to be matched against her," most of the boys deadpanned in their heads. "Sh Shausa, Hyuga Hinata," Irika proclaimed, thoroughly impressed by the young girl. Hinata proceeded to kneel down next to Ino and reopen her chakra points, allowing the girl to breathe freely and for her chakra to continue running naturally. "Jigomen, Ino-san," Hinata timidly muttered, as she went back into the group of academy students. Ino groaned as she got to her feet, angry with herself for losing so fast. "Che, guess you can't judge a book by its cover," the young blonde spat haughtily in her head. The matches continued and Ino only paid attention to the interesting ones. Chuji vs. Kiba ended fast as Akamaru bit the young Akimichi on his calf, allowing Kiba to simply push the other boy out of bounds. Naruto was able to get a freebie as Shikamaru claimed it was too much of a drag to fight such a troublesome blonde, which gave Ino a tick mark as the boy had called her that many times over the years she's known him. Sasuke ended up facing some civilian kid, who he dealt with quickly and effectively, dodging his opponent's 2 strikes and countering with a swift kick to the stomach, knocking the air out of his stomach. The other child, unable to speak, tapped on the ground repeatedly, showing he forfeited. "Sasuke-kun is so cool," Sakura exclaimed as all the other girls quickly chirped up in agreement, and nodding their heads and fawning over him excitedly. Sasuke just scoffed as he began to walk back towards the group, appearing annoyed with the fangirls. "I guess I just have to stand out," Ino thought confidently, as she strode over to where Sasuke was beginning to enter the group. Smiling brightly, she began to try to congratulate him. "Great job, Sasuke-kun. You made that look extremely." Ino trailed off, as the crush of hers strode past her without acknowledging her greeting, as he went and sat next to Naruto. Has he always been that rude? Ino thought to herself. What she didn't understand is Sasuke acted like that towards fangirls specifically, hoping to show them that he held no interest for those that didn't take the life of a shinobi seriously. However, regardless of the reason behind it, that one interaction with the boy who might have been her crush for who knows how long, suddenly began to die out, fast. "Like heck I'm going to act so crazy and nice to a guy who treats girls like that," huffed the Yamanaka, returning to her group of gossipers. Eventually all the matches concluded until there were only 3 left, the semi-finals, and then the finals. Alright, for the first semi-finals of the tournament, we have Hyuga Hinata vs Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka exclaimed, as the two fighters approached. Naruto? He actually made it? Ino thought to herself in disbelief, as she began to pay attention to the tournament after distracting herself with her friend's gossip for so long. She wasn't the only one surprised, to say the least. After all, Naruto was thought to be useless and a complete idiot from what many of their parents told them, and what some other students from other classes claimed they heard their teachers say last year. It's obviously some type of fluke, muttered one of the kids behind Ino. Yeah, there's no way someone like him is going to make it to the finals, another said. Ino didn't know why, but this angered her. Why was everyone so terribly rude to this kid? She herself could not talk much because she never tried to get to know him and purposefully avoided him like everyone else, but to hear such rude comments from the other students just irked her. Whatever, Ino thought, just prove to them that it isn't a fluke you're standing there, Naruto-san. Ino guessed it was clear to see who she wanted to see win between the two and looked forward to seeing how it played out. Hajime, Iruka exclaimed, jumping out of the way. I forfeit. Hinata suddenly squeaked before running out of bounds towards the back of the class, causing the entire class to face fault. And Nani? You too, Hinata-chan? Naruto said in a disbelieving tone. It's definitely a fluke you're standing there, Ino deadpanned. Sh Shausa, Uzumaki Naruto, who advances to the finals, Iruka sighed out. Well, at least I'll have a fight waiting for me in the finals for sure, Naruto said aloud as he walked back to the group, staring at the other final contestants, Sasuke and Kiba. Che, Sasuke scoffed, you know it will be me, Naruto. It seems our fight is being pushed up to right now, Sasuke said as he grinned, fist bumping his best friend. You aren't beating me, Uchiha. It's time to show everyone who the real alpha male is, Kiba countered proudly, as he winked towards the girls grouped up in the class, who proceeded to send death glares at Kiba, who smartly chuckled it off nervously. Next, Uchiha Sasuke vs Inuzuka Kiba, Iruka announced, but the two were already entering the tournament area. Time to settle this fool. Yeah, whatever, Sasuke interrupted, settling into the interceptor fist fighting stance. I won't let you get in the way of me reaching him, Sasuke uttered, grinning towards the Inuzuka excitedly. I'll see you in a sec, Naruto and I, the prodigal Uchiha thought to himself, as his opponent gulped and assumed his own fighting stance, as Akamaru growled at him. Ino looked at between the blonde and raven-haired Uchiha. Sasuke was usually very calm and honestly quite quiet and did not speak to many others at all. However, when it came to Naruto, the normally stoic Uchiha turned into a child filled with emotion, just like anyone else. Her eyes came to rest on the Uzumaki, who was hollering and whooping telling Sasuke to kick that dog breed's ass, and for once, probably the only time ever, the Sasuke fan club was in complete support of the Uzumaki. What makes you so special, Naruto-san? Hajime, Iruka exclaimed, as he leapt away from the two competitors. The fight was over in a flash. As soon as Iruka called the match to start, Sasuke blurred over to the Inuzuka, throwing a rapid string of punches and kicks at him. Kiba, not seeing this ferocity in Sasuke's earlier matches, was caught completely off guard, but to his credit, was able to dodge and block about 65% of the barrage Sasuke dished out. Kiba, not willing to let Sasuke take control of the match, threw 3 quick jabs aimed at Sasuke's ribs, and jumped back to create some space, breathing heavily. He sure does hit hard, Kiba groaned to himself, holding his stomach, which took the most hits from the Uchiha, as his forearms started to grow numb from the strength behind Sasuke's fists. Seriously, how did he get this strong? Kiba asked himself through labored breaths. He's been training for years now thanks to his ninja lineage, and while he knew Sasuke was also, for the difference in their strength to be this great, it was a great wound to Kiba's pride. A roof, Akamaru yipped from atop Kiba's head, bringing the boy back to the fight. His opponent was standing across the arena, smirking towards him. Kiba glared at Sasuke and shook his head around as if to clear the pessimistic thoughts from his head. This fight isn't over, I can still win this, the Inuzuka heir thought proudly, as he and Akamaru prepared themselves for a counterattack. Shausa, Uchiha Sasuke, announced Iruka, as Naruto and the Sasuke fan club cheered, and Kiba turned to Iruka with clear anger flashing across his face. What do you mean he won, Iruka-sensei? I haven't given up, Kiba argued breathlessly. Check your feet, dog breath, Naruto exclaimed as he began to stretch, preparing himself for the final round. Sure enough, when Kiba checked his feet, his left was past the white line, signaling him out of bounds. Kyuso! Kiba yelled, causing Iruka to punch him over the head, a tick mark growing on his forehead. Language, Kiba, now go back to the group, the Chunin instructed, which Kiba reluctantly decided to follow, grumbling about stupid rules. That was so unfair, right, Akamaru? Akamaru? Kiba said, looking up to see his Niken out cold, courtesy of taking the brunt of one Irika punch. As Kiba freaked out and began performing CPR on Akamaru, as if that would help, Naruto entered the tournament area, where Sasuke was already waiting for him. Well, I guess your wish really did come true a little earlier than expected, Sasuke-chan, Naruto teased, but Sasuke was too focused to care for that little jab Naruto threw at him. Say whatever you want, Naruto, but I am definitely winning this match, Sasuke proclaimed, as he entered the fighting stance. He recently became a student of the Interceptor Fist. Seeing Sasuke's excited face, Naruto could tell how serious his best friend was about this, so he had an idea. Irika-sensei, Naruto called out to his Chunin instructor, who raised an eyebrow in acknowledgement. If Sasuke and I both consent to it, may other forms of battle be allowed, such as ninjutsu? Naruto asked sheepishly, grinning ear to ear. Ninjutsu? Irika questioned incredulously. They hadn't even gotten close to learning any yet, and Naruto was willingly requesting for it to be allowed? Irika assumed Sasuke, as the heir to a founding clan of Konoha, would probably be familiar with ninjutsu already, but for Naruto? There's no way he'd be able to hold his own against the Uchiha if Irika allowed that. Before he could even reject the request, Naruto called him again. Please, Irika-sensei, Naruto requested, dropping the grin and giving his teacher the most serious face a 7-year-old could muster, as Sasuke nodded in agreement. Irika sighed in exasperation, relenting to the children. All right, very well, but if it gets too dangerous for one of you, I will stop the match, Irika complied. Yada, the exuberant blonde yelled, as he quickly spun around to face his best friend, assuming his own style that Tenzo began helping Naruto with, the Shinsei no Ken, Divine Nature Fist, which relies upon strong punches and elbow/knee strikes, with minor grappling. Of course, since he was only a beginner with the style, it was not yet fully fleshed out yet for our resident Jinchuriki, but it should help him hold his own currently. Ino, who looked on at the impending battle in front of her, could not help but begin to have doubt in the blonde as well as everyone else. 2 of his matches were forfeits. He truly lucked his way into fighting his best friend. However, while those facts were clear to see, something was telling Ino not to count her fellow blonde out. As the 2 best friends faced off against one another, everyone felt the tension growing with every breath as it soon grew quiet, as everyone waited anxiously for the battle to begin. As if Kami-sama commanded it himself, both Ino and Sasuke had the same thought. Show me what you got, Naruto. Hajime. Hajime. As soon as Irika let out the signal for the 2 prodigies to begin their bout, he barely had enough time to jump out of their way before the 2 closed the distance towards one another. As soon as his best friend was in striking distance, Sasuke leapt up, aiming a roundhouse kick towards Naruto's head. The young Uzumaki ducked underneath, allowing Sasuke's foot to pass by him, missing his temple by only a few centimeters. Quickly attempting to counter, Naruto aimed a left hook towards his opponent's solar plexus while he was still off balance from landing after his attempted strike. In a quick show of acrobatics, the prodigal Uchiha managed to catch Naruto's punch, before using his arm as a springboard, raising himself above the blonde and flipping over to his backside, before kicking the Mokutan user between his shoulder blades, once again re-establishing the distance between them. As Naruto felt himself flying forward, he planted his arms in front of him before he fell, using the momentum to somersault forward before quickly turning back around, grinning at his longtime friend, before he bounded towards him once again. Ino and the rest of the class jaws were dropped, as they witnessed the battle between the 2 best friends. No one could take their eyes off the pair of fighters, as they showed just how far above the rest of them they truly were. As she watched on in awe, Ino had a thought that she knew she had to make come to fruition. I need to be on a team with one of them, the blonde aspiring kunoichi thought to herself, as she witnessed the 2 boys continue to battle it out. Ino knew that when her and her classmates graduated, she was most likely already going to be placed on a team with the 2 best friends, Chuji and Shikamaru. The reason she knew why that was most likely to happen is because of their fathers, the clan heads of their respective families, formed one of the most dominant 3-man units in the history of Konohagakure, the Ino-Shikacho combo. Ino never truly wanted to be on a team with the 2, as while they were considered close family friends, and she did like the 2, they annoyed her to no end. She dreaded the thought of having the lazy, procrastinative Shikamaru on her team, and the boy who would only do anything if it involved a meal, Chuji. Witnessing the most intense battle the 7-year-old girl ever had before, Ino realized that the 2 boys in front of her were truly something special. Even more so, as she watched the Uzumaki boy give a quick elbow to Sasuke's sternum, before launching him away with a kick. Her curiosity of the boy continued to grow. Who was he truly, and how did he grow to be so strong? Of course, Ino would not go to directly ask him that, but if eventually they were placed on a team together. It's settled then, Ino thought to herself as she punched her left hand and held it firm. Those two are clearly going somewhere, and if I'm on a team with them, that means I'll be brought along on the journey, she concluded to herself with a conviction she has not really shown before. Ino decided then and there that she would strive to become Kunoichi of the Year, to ensure she was on whoever became the Rookie of the Year's team. Preferably the one that isn't a jerk, the Yamanaka heiress thought pettily, before a sudden shout brought her attention back towards the fight. Naruto groaned as he picked himself up off the ground after Sasuke came close to knocking the blonde out. Attempting to buy himself time, Naruto grinned at his friend, who stood on the other side of the arena, preparing himself to continue their battle. I think it's about time to take this up a notch, Sasuke-chan, Naruto called out as he raised his arms to form a single-hand seal. Kekkei Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, the blonde called out, as 5 other Narutos appeared, and began to rush the Uchiha. Sasuke grinned, thanking Naruto mentally for asking Irika to allow ninjutsu. He probably requested it because of me, Sasuke thought to himself, as the clones drew closer to him. Naruto knew that if Sasuke was going to consider this a true battle between them going all out, ninjutsu would have to be involved. However, the blonde also knew he wasn't able to use his Mokuton Kekkei Genkai, as that would cause him to be exposed to his class and sensei as someone able to use the fabled ability, and that would make him a liar to the Sandaime, and he couldn't have that. Because of that stipulation, Naruto only had 3 jutsu to work with, including his Kage Bunshin and excluding the 2 E-rank jutsu he learned 2 years ago. This fight will just have to end before Sasuke notices I'm not using it, the young Mokuton user thought to himself, as his clones began to close in on Sasuke. The Uchiha in question was grinning ear to ear, as his first friend's clones came towards him. Not going to be outdone, Sasuke raised his hands in front of him, beginning to run through the required hand seals for his new jutsu. Here's the jutsu you made me cough on, Naruto. Let's see if you can still question my affinity after this. The Uchiha thought before finishing the last hand sign needed. Katan, Hozenka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu, the child bellowed, as he spit out a volley of small fireballs, which raced towards the Kage Bunshin. The clones attempted to dodge the balls of fire, but Sasuke controlled them with his chakra, causing every clone to dispel upon impact with his jutsu. Smirking, Sasuke looked over to where Naruto had been standing, expecting the other boy to be shocked from witnessing the jutsu Sasuke had been practicing in secret. However, when he looked over, Naruto was gone from his previous position, and the hairs on the back of the Uchiha's neck began to stand up, as if warning him of impending danger. Suiton, Mizurappa no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Trumpet, Naruto announced, as a jet of water spewed from his mouth, heading for his best friend. Crap, Sasuke blurted out, as he attempted to dodge to the side of the jet of water heading for him. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to completely avoid the attack, as his left shoulder was clipped by Naruto's jutsu, causing the Uchiha to flip several times before landing in a heap on the floor. Groaning, and holding his left shoulder, Sasuke could see the silhouette of his best friend, looking at Irika, as if asking him to call the match. Sasuke was about to close his eyes, and accept he had to continue to train to overtake his best friend at his best, before his eyes shot open unceremoniously, as he leapt to his feet, glaring at the Uzumaki across from him. He hasn't even used Mokuton, the raven-haired boy realized, slowly becoming more upset with himself. He would be damned if he was beaten by the other boy without him even trying his hardest. Naruto, who had been breathing sighs of relief from seeing Sasuke go down, was beginning to approach his sensei, to ask him to call for the match's end, but his instincts made him dodge to the right as a fist was just where his head was. "Oh hell," Naruto began to say before he felt a knee placed into his sternum, knocking the breath out of him, as he was kicked away to the side of the arena, almost rolling out of bounds. "We're huff not done yet, huff huff Naruto," Sasuke managed to breathe out through labored breaths, as he began to run through hand seals yet again. Crap 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 crap, Naruto was thinking to himself as he saw Sasuke run through familiar hand signs as he got up to one knee, and judging from the look on the Uchiha's face, he intended to finish the match with the next move of his. From Sasuke's knowledge, Naruto only had one defensive jutsu, and that required him to use his Mokuton Kekkei Genkai. Under normal circumstances, the Uchiha wouldn't want Naruto to use his ability, as he knew about the promise the boy made to the Sandaime. However, every thought had fleeted his mind besides the fact Sasuke knew he hadn't forced Naruto to go all out if he hadn't used his special abilities, so without thinking of the consequences Sasuke poured more chakra than was needed into his bread and butter jutsu. as he fired it off at Naruto. Katan, Gokaki no Jutsu, Fire Release, Fireball Jutsu, the prodigal Uchiha shouted, as he unleashed one of the largest renditions of the jutsu he has ever produced before towards his best friend. Iruka, who had been watching along in shock along with the rest of the class at the battle prowess of the two children, began to see how serious it was getting when the two began throwing ninjutsu at one another, but they both seemed capable of handling it. However, that was a mistake on his part, as he saw Sasuke unleash a fireball he was positive would cause serious harm to the other child. Sasuke, don't! Iruka yelled, but it was too late. As the blazing inferno made its way toward the blonde boy, Naruto had just completed hand seals of his own, ending in the Inu dog's seal. I'm really going to have to thank Tenzo-sensei for making me learn a defensive technique for something other than my Mokuton ninjutsu, the young boy thought to himself, as he called out the last technique he had in his repertoire besides Mokuton ninjutsu. Doton, Dorihiki, Earth Release, Earth-style Wall. Naruto was however a little late on casting his jutsu, which caused the explosion's force to knock him back 4 meters. As the Uzumaki got up from getting blown back, he looked down and sighed, putting a small knowing smile on his face. Iruka, who watched as the smoke and debris cleared away, saw Sasuke leap from atop the remains of Naruto's earth wall, and begin to make his way towards the other child. However, as soon as Iruka caught sight of Naruto, he knew the match was over. Shausa, Uchiha Sasuke. For the first few seconds after Iruka called the match, it was dead silent, apart from the few little patches of crackling fire left on the field. However, that odd silence was soon broken by the Sasuke fan club, as they cheered for their winning competitor, as everyone else remained silent and in shock of the battle they just witnessed. As soon as he heard those words, Sasuke paused in his stride to Naruto, who had stood up, and smiled at Sasuke. The Uchiha immediately whipped his head back in anger and confusion at Iruka. What do you mean I won? Don't call the match Iruka-sensei, he's clearly still capable of fighting. Sasuke objected loudly, causing his fangirls to quiet down to hear the words being spoken. Sasuke, look where you are standing, and relate that to where he is, Iruka said sternly, still a little upset about how far the two's fight went. That was not the level normal second-year academy students know, that isn't the level any academy student should be able to fight at, the Chunin instructor thought to himself incredulously. Sasuke, listening to his sensei's advice, looked down to where he was standing in relation to the arena, and cursed, realizing what Iruka meant. Crap, Sasuke thought to himself, as he realized if he took one more step, he would have been out of bounds, and as he looked at Naruto, it was clear the Uzumaki was far away from being considered inside the zone. I guess that means you win this one, Sasuke, Naruto said sheepishly, as he scratched the back of his head while laughing nervously. After coming to terms with the fact the battle was over, Sasuke's entire body began to ache, as he groaned and grabbed his shoulder where Naruto's earlier water jutsu landed. Is this as far as I can push him? Sasuke asked himself in self-shame. He put everything he had into his last attack, hoping to force the Uzumaki to use his fabled Mokuton techniques to counteract him, and yet the other boy had another trick up his sleeve that he was able to deal with Sasuke with. Oi, just because you won this one, don't think I'm gonna let you take any of the rest of the tournaments away from me, the Uzumaki announced to his best friend, about to grin at him. However, he noticed Sasuke's head was down, his hair shadowing his eyes as he gripped his shoulder. Hey Sasuke? Is everything? Shut up, Naruto! The boy snapped, before he began to run off past the school grounds in the direction of his home. As Sasuke? Naruto called out after the boy, as he disappeared from the sight of the class. Naruto, getting over his shock from Sasuke's sudden actions, began to follow him. Hey Naruto! Iruka began to shout out. Don't worry, Iruka-sensei, I'll be right back with him, the Uzumaki yelled back, before he ran towards where he figured Sasuke would be. Iruka watched as 2 of his students just up and left the school grounds, after putting on one of, if not the best performance the academy has ever seen. As he turned back around, Iruka looked at the rest of his students, who were either looking to him for an explanation, or were talking to their friends about the battle they had just witnessed. How the heck did he manage to keep up with Uchiha Sasuke like that? I don't know, it doesn't make sense. My dad always told me about how useless he is, but that doesn't make sense after what we just saw. Alright, Iruka began, trying to gain control of the class again. Everyone head back inside, let's finish up today with a quick lecture over the Warring States period, Iruka announced as he began to herd them all back in. There was a collective groan from the class as they made their way back inside. Ino! Come on, let's go, Iruka called out to the blonde clan heiress. See coming, Iruka-sensei, Ino replied as she came back to reality from zoning out. As she jogged to catch up with her class, Ino's mind was racing. Those two boys were the same age as the rest of them, and were miles ahead of everyone else, including the clan heirs in every category. Seeing such a display made Ino's resolve to get onto a team with those boys even stronger. Just you wait, Ino thought to herself as she entered the academy building. She would make sure she became the top kunoichi, as nothing would stop the resolve she gained today. Uchiha Compound, Sasuke's backyard. As Naruto arrived, he didn't even have to call out his friend's name, as he saw him sitting alone, his back facing the blonde as he stared up towards the sky. You're strong, Naruto, the Uchiha began, causing Naruto to stop a couple meters away from the boy. You're so strong it hurts, the Uchiha continued. Ever since we met, you've been doing things so well, gaining new abilities and reaching higher feats constantly. For crying out loud, you have the same Kekkei Genkai as our Shodaime. Sasuke ranted, getting louder the longer he continued, as he began to stand up and face his best friend, tears beginning to form in his eyes. I'm so happy for you, but so mad at the same time, the Uchiha continued, as he let the tears slowly begin to fall. Naruto was stunned as he had never seen his friend behave in such a manner, and it made his heart hurt watching Sasuke cry. Sasuke, I don't understand, why are you crying about this? Naruto asked, searching for an answer. Because Sasuke started, locking eyes with the blonde. How am I supposed to help protect you against people that might come for you in the future because of your Kekkei Genkai if I can't even get you to face me all out? Sasuke yelled towards the blonde. Ever since the Hokage mentioned the possibility of Naruto becoming a target once people found out about his Kekkei Genkai, Sasuke's reasons for training reached whole new heights, as he refused to let someone harm his precious people. Naruto listened to those words, frozen in place with wide eyes, staring at the boy across from him. Sasuke scoffed after not hearing a response, and turned away and rubbed away the tears that had been falling from his face. This entire time that's what he's been worried about? Naruto asked himself as he himself began to tear up from the pure emotions Sasuke had been willing to trust him with. Forget I said that, Sasuke said as he began to turn around. He can't believe he really just said something as embarrassing as that to his friend, but before Sasuke could completely turn away, the Uzumaki boy quickly engulfed the raven-haired Uchiha in a bear hug. Hey, what the heck, get off me dobe, Sasuke exclaimed, attempting to push Naruto off of him. You're strong, Sasuke, Naruto suddenly blurted out while his head was still past Sasuke's shoulders in their hug, causing the boy mentioned to pause his struggling. You're so strong, and if that match wasn't cancelled I know I would have been forced to use my Kekkei Genkai against you, and you don't even have your Sharingan yet, Naruto went on. I push myself every day because of you. You and Itachi saved me those few years ago, and because of that, I've been able to get as strong as I am because I have a purpose, and that's to keep you guys safe. At first my only goal was to become Hokage, so that everyone would look at me the same way they stare at Hokage Gigi. But because of you too, I'm going to become Hokage to protect you both. Naruto finished with conviction, as he pulled back away from his best friend, who stood there looking at Naruto in awe. You are strong, Sasuke, but as long as I have the drive to protect you, I'm going to keep getting stronger myself, so keep up if you can. Naruto bubbled out, giving his friend his signature foxy grin. Sasuke stood there for a moment, looking at the blonde, before he suddenly turned and entered his home. Sasuke, wait, crap, Naruto began, thinking he said something to upset his friend, but Sasuke came out again before Naruto could follow, holding a small knife, 2 sake cups, and a bottle of sake. Come on, dobe, Sasuke stated, walking towards the table in the backyard. What the heck are you doing with that? Isn't that your mom's happy juice? Naruto scrutinized. Over the years he has been around, Naruto has seen Sasuke's mom drink from similar bottles before and begin to act very silly around them, and it always made him laugh. Oh, shut up, Sasuke sighed as he set down the items he grabbed. As Naruto came by, Sasuke began to pour the sake into the 2 cups, filling them, before setting the bottle to the side and sliding one of the cups towards Naruto, who had a look of confusion on his face as he stared at Sasuke, wanting an explanation. Before Naruto got one though, Sasuke suddenly grabbed the small knife he took from inside, and stabbed his hand with it, making a deep cut, as he yelped from the pain. What the Sasuke? Naruto exclaimed, beginning to move towards his friend. Stop, Sasuke spit out through gritted teeth. Perhaps he went a little farther than he needed to with that cut. Naruto, who unwontedly stopped moving towards Sasuke, was very confused and thought Sasuke went crazy in the head a little bit. So do you want to explain to me why you just cut your hand like that, Sasuke? The Mokuton user questioned through narrowed eyes. Have you heard of the Chi no Kyodai no Gishiki, blood brother ritual, before? Sasuke asked his friend. Blood brother ritual? Naruto thought to himself, before realization hit him for what Sasuke was insinuating. You want with me? Are you sure? Naruto asked the Uchiha boy across from him. Doing such a ritual was quite serious in this world, and for Sasuke to initiate something like this with Naruto was unfathomable. No, I just stabbed my hand for fun, Sasuke replied sarcastically, as he handed the knife over to Naruto. The blonde gingerly took the item from his friend, his hands shaking slightly holding it. Brothers. He really wants to be mine, Naruto thought in disbelief. Sasuke, still bleeding from his hand, could guess what Naruto was thinking and decided to assure him. What you said to me made me realize something you know. Why only protect each other separately when we can protect each other and our home together? Besides, I've already thought of you as my brother all this time. Let's make it official like this. The Uchiha managed to get out through his pain, wanting Naruto to hurry up. It was enough. Hearing Sasuke say those things made Naruto realize how true those words were. Without a second thought, Naruto slammed the knife into his left hand, the same as Sasuke's, creating a cut just as deep and long as his friend's. Akami-sama, Naruto blurted out in reaction to the pain as he wrenched the knife from the cut, nearly falling over from the pain. The boys did not know that for the ritual, they only had to create a thin line of blood from their palms, instead of stabbing themselves. However, as Naruto calmed down from the pain, they were both ready. Gripping his sake cup in his right hand, Sasuke grinned at his best friend, as Naruto mirrored the action. Thank you, Sasuke and I. Watashi wa ian and Ayanada o Tashai Takiru, Watashi no Kyodai, I live through you forever, my brother, the two boys said in unison, as they clasped their bloodied hands together and drank their sake. From the small wooded area behind the clan head's house, Uchiha Itachi watched in interest as his Ototo and Naruto completed the sacred act, signifying them as brothers. Itachi hasn't been able to be around as often thanks to the Umbu, and now there has been internal unrest in the Leaf as his father and the rest of the clan were beginning to have serious problems between them and the Hokage/higher-ups. Itachi has started trying to speak to both sides to keep them restrained from doing anything rash, but eventually Itachi feels it will become bigger than just the clan and their feelings towards Konoha, and vice versa. Itachi sighed, as he turned away from the two boys who began to curse and groan over the large, deep cuts they placed on themselves. He had a meeting to attend with the Hokage and could not miss it. However, as he left the compound, Itachi smiled in thankfulness to Naruto. Watch over my Ototo, Naruto-kun. I'm afraid I am not sure how much longer I am going to be able to. 1 year later. Can you believe we're already in our 3rd year of the academy, Sasuke? I don't see the point in us having to stay in the academy until regular graduation. We should take the early exam, and Ai-san. Uchiha Sasuke was beginning to become impatient. Naruto, his best friend turned brother, and himself were basically prodigies. They have stayed in the academy's curriculum far longer than others who have been seen as gifted students in the past had, and Sasuke does not see why Naruto and himself did not just take the early graduation exam. Sighing as they continued to walk towards the academy, Naruto shook his head as a small smile adorned his face. All Sasuke sees in front of him is becoming a ninja, and Naruto cannot blame him. He used to want to become a ninja immediately also because he was ready for a change in his life. However, thanks to a pair of Uchiha brothers, his mindset shifted quite a bit from how it could have been. Ah, come on, the blonde said exasperatedly as he and his brother continued walking. We could take the graduation exam if you really want to, but then that will be the official end to our childhood, you know. After these next 4 years are completed, all we will be doing is defending our village as shinobi and wish we had this time back. We might as well enjoy it while it lasts, nah? Replied the prodigal Uchiha, as Naruto facepalmed at the response. I can't believe he actually started doing that, the Uzumaki thought to himself. In Konoha, the reputation of the Uchiha catchphrase precedes them, as they find any opportunity they can to throw a simple HN into their vocabulary. For some of them, it is just a phase, however for others, they just never grow out of it. Naruto prayed it was the former for Sasuke as the pair entered the academy. Yamanaka Ino was currently seated by the window near the back of Yamano Irika's classroom, lazily gazing out of the window as she rested her chin against the palm of her hand. She was trying her best to tune out the rowdiness of the class and was succeeding well enough until he entered the room. Sasuke-kun. Good morning, Uchiha-kun. Sasuke, there is a seat open over here. Ino groaned exasperatedly as she rolled her eyes. Sasuke-kun this, Sasuke-kun that, how much more annoying could they be? The Yamanaka heiress muttered to herself in an annoyed tone. Seriously, I cannot believe I was doing the same thing towards the beginning of the academy. Well, it's no issue to me now. I wouldn't be caught dead giving such an embarrassing reek dash. Pardon us, an irritated Sasuke said aloud to the blonde girl, which startled Ino, causing her to make a strange noise and whip around to see who was speaking to her. Spoke too soon, she thought to herself, feeling her cheeks get hot with embarrassment. What do you want? She asked the boy rudely, sensing some sort of stuck-up remark being aimed her way from him. Sasuke raised an eyebrow, sensing the clear distaste towards him coming from the girl. However, as he was about to speak, his brother grabbed his shoulder and stepped forward with a large grin plastered on his face. Good morning, Ino-san, sorry to startle you. Do you mind if Sasuke and I sit here? Every other table has someone we'd rather not sit next to or only one seat available. Is that okay? Ino immediately lost the look of distaste and turned away again towards the window, in an attempt to keep her continuously reddening face from being discovered. Yeah, I guess that's fine, she muttered. Arigato, Naruto said as he moved into the middle seat, followed by Sasuke taking up the final one. Across the classroom, the young heiress of the Hyuga clan watched on dejectedly, as she gazed towards the other side of the room, seeing Naruto begin to speak to Ino. It's fine, the heiress thought to herself, I'll have more opportunities to meet Naruto informally. This clearly is not the first time such a scenario has occurred for the shy girl. As the class continued to be rambunctious as any group of young children would be, Iruka entered the classroom, seemingly more energetic than he usually would be. Good morning, my future Shin. Iruka couldn't even finish his warm welcome because no one was paying attention over all the noise being caused, which caused Iruka to grow irritated at the group of shinobi in training. Quiet! Iruka exclaimed loudly, using chakra to enlarge his head slightly and increase the sound of his voice. His students popularly dubbed the signature jutsu, Big Head Jutsu. If they weren't already, all the kids sat down and awaited Iruka's lecture, mentally preparing themselves to be bored out of their minds. However, the lecture never started. Iruka leaned on the edge of his desk grinning at his class. Well, I would have loved to start out this way with you all, but now that I have your attention, there are some internal issues and staff assignments that most chunin who are sensei here must attend to, so for today only, class is hereby cancelled. I will see you all tomorrow, please be safe as you. Iruka once again was not even given the opportunity to finish his farewell, as many children began to whoop and holler as they dashed out of the classroom, with Kiba leading the pack proudly. Idiot, Ino thought to herself as she saw the Nikken user lead the horde of kids out of the classroom. I guess that means I should probably head out too, she decided. However, the kids at her table were still there, and as she packed up, she couldn't help but listen in on what they were saying. Yada, no school today. Sasuke, let's go to training ground 4. Apparently there's a really nice forest there with an open field in the center, and there are some things in my ninjutsu I want to work out, exclaimed a clearly excited Naruto, who proceeded to start animatedly shaking his brother's shoulders. As Sasuke was about to retort and smack Naruto for shaking him so violently, the other person still in vicinity to hear Naruto's words spoke first. Training ground 4? You do realize we're only academy students, right? You need special permission to enter a training ground, and I am pretty sure you do not have that, Ino stated matter-of-factly. She was correct. Normally shinobi training grounds would be off-limits to civilians and even shinobi in training, unless granted special access, so those two had no right of entering that space. However, as Ino finished, Naruto just looked at Ino and gave her a small smirk. Who said we were asking for permission? We're just gonna do a little bit of training and leave right after, right, Sasuke? Sasuke? Naruto turned back to look at his brother only to find him missing from the chair he was just rocking him in moments ago, where a small note sat in the middle of the seat. Naruto grabbed the note, and Ino peered over his shoulder, as she was also curious as to where the Uchiha clansman disappeared to and also how he left so fast. She could have sworn she was staring at him and Naruto that whole time she was talking to him, however, she blinked and he seemingly melted away into the background. Naruto opened the note and muttered the contents as Ino began reading over his shoulder. Sorry, Nisan, I am not sparring with you today. You will distract me. I'll see you at dinner. S. Arg, Naruto exhaled as he balled the note up and threw it behind him. He had planned to seriously train and not mess with Sasuke this time around. It's not his fault Kami blessed him with the ability to grow roots out of the ground that can easily trip up or mess with Sasuke in any possible way for fun, is it? Too bad he bailed on you, Ino stifled out through her giggling. Somehow the blonde boy in front of her was just able to make everything he did comedic. It is not funny, I really needed a training partner today so that he trailed off as he slowly turned to face his fellow blonde. Ino, seeing him slowly turning, got a sinking feeling in her stomach. As he completely turned to face her, she saw a foxy grin plaster itself onto his face as he began, Inua. No, she started, getting up prepared to leave. There's no way I am gonna let you convince me. 30 minutes later. He really convinced me, Ino deadpanned as she sat defeated in the clearing of Training Ground 4. Woa, Naruto vocalized as he looked around in wonder at the training ground. The forest trees were abnormally large here and were clearly the main attraction. There also happened to be a small pond alongside the middle clearing, which gave lots of room for shinobi to spar and hash out jutsu. It is beautiful, Ino said aloud as she stood up and admired the beauty of the new area she was in for a moment. Truth be told, she was quite nervous. Ino is what most people would see as a good girl, as adults absolutely adore her, and she is always doing what would be expected of a future clan leader. Now, for one of the first times in her life, she is doing something extremely well, extreme. She had no idea how they really got here. As they arrived closer to the training grounds, her blonde counterpart just told her to hop on his back and he would sneak them in. It took a little convincing for her to, considering today was the first time they held a real conversation, but they finally arrived. Though now begs the question, what exactly are they going to do? Alright, I'm gonna warm up real fast, began Naruto. Afterwards we can do a quick spar to see how much training we can accomplish. Humph, Ino said as she began basic stretches. Since I'm here already, I guess I have no choice. Especially cause if I try to leave, I'll get lost without this kid, she thought to herself. As Ino began warm-ups for training her father taught her, she faced her back towards the boy. She felt as if Naruto must be watching just in case he can pick up even a little bit of training information from a noble clan. However, she soon took a small peek behind her to see what kind of warm-ups he was doing, expecting the academy or at most something similar to her, since she has noticed how close he has gotten with the Uchiha clan. However, when Ino peeked, she ended up snapping her body around to look at Naruto with her jaw agape. The resident Mokutan user was currently attached to one of the trees, doing many rapid push-ups in sets of 20 before running the entire length of the evergreen giant, and repeating. What am I doing here? The Yamanaka heiress deadpanned. This continued for another 5 minutes until Naruto left from the tree, landing softly, and jogging towards Ino. Alright, I feel loose, you ready to spar? Naruto asked her, still keeping that foxy grin of his intact. Ino contemplated her options. She has seen Naruto fight before. In recent memory it hasn't been anything spectacular if their academy tournaments and spars are anything to go by, but Ino knows he must be holding back for some reason. After all, she remembers the battle she witnessed between Naruto and Sasuke for their first ever tournament in the academy. Since then those two haven't done anything near as flashy, but the memory was sealed into Ino's brain. After all, she secretly wanted to be teamed up with Naruto after what he did on that day and has been doing what she needs to be Kunoichi of the year. If he fights like he did that day, I don't see the point in this, she concludes with herself, nodding in satisfaction. The entire time Ino was thinking about this, Naruto's sweat dropped as she kept stroking her chin and nodding to herself. However, he could guess the general train of thought she was taking and threw some bait to secure her cooperation. Sorry Naruto, I just don't see the… No, he interrupted her. It is fine if you don't want to spar. I guess that's as far as the future head of her clan can go, he said as he turned around and put his hands behind his head, starting to walk off. Oh no, you did not, Ino said as she lunged forwards toward Naruto, hot-headed as ever. Naruto, hearing her battle cry, laughed in success as he turned around to face Ino head-on. As Ino rushed him with a punch, Naruto was hoping to see more out of her than something so straightforward. However, right when the punch was about to connect, she disappeared. What the… Before he had time to finish his sentence, Naruto felt something telling him to duck, so he did, which allowed him to narrowly miss the kunai thrown towards his head. Ino was quick to follow up on the kunai, aiming a low kick to Naruto's temple as he was still lowered from successfully evading her weaponry. Naruto caught her ankle and shoved it back, before taking some distance between the two of them. Crap, Ino thought to herself. Since Naruto's warm-up took much longer than hers, she had time to try to execute a surprise tactic using the Kawarimi, body replacement jutsu. She banked on Naruto underestimating her solely off his display from their past, and it seemed to work. Though this isn't just anyone she's facing that an idea of that caliber would successfully work. You almost had me there, Ino-chan, you were scary, Naruto said as he proceeded to rub the back of his head and laugh. CH-chan? She asked in disbelief. As Ino yelled at him that they just really met, Naruto was scolding himself under his happy-go-lucky exterior. Tenzo-sensei would rip me a new one if he saw I almost fell for that. Sasuke wouldn't even think I'm worth sparring with anymore if I somehow lost. Finding his determination, which is not hard for the boy, Naruto reset himself into his stance and stared at Ino, dropping his smile and kind demeanor. He was taught never to underestimate an opponent, and doing so almost cost him an embarrassing defeat. He has learned his lesson. Forgive me as I am in the process of fleshing my taijutsu style out, Naruto said aloud for the fellow blonde opposite of him to hear. Ino, who calmed down as the blood stopped rushing to her cheeks, readied herself again with the academy taijutsu. Bring it! She exclaimed, feeling a strange rush of excitement she hasn't felt before in a spar. Something about almost landing a solid blow on Naruto excited her. Maybe I do have a shot here. Here I come. 10 seconds later. Maybe I shouldn't have went that hard after all, the Uzumaki boy uttered as he watched Ino roll on the ground holding her side in pain. Ino, you okay? I guess that means I won, huh? Naruto said, followed by a nervous laugh. After a few seconds, Ino struggled to her feet and glared at him. You jerk. Giving me false hope. I thought I almost had you at one point. You were just holding back, weren't you? Ino spat. Aha, yeah, absolutely. Naruto agreed wholeheartedly. Ino sighed and plopped back on the ground and laid herself out, clearly tired. You know, I don't think I can train with you how I want, Ino, began Naruto, which instantly caused Ino to shoot right back up in anger and irritation. Don't blame me, it isn't like I flaked on you, you're lucky I am even here, I'm a clan heiress. I really could have rejected your offer and gone about my own business. Jerk, she finished, crossing her arms and sticking her nose into the air to seem snobbish, which caused Naruto to sweat drop. However, he said, continuing his earlier sentence, which causes his fellow blonde to look down towards him. Maybe I can train you so that eventually you will be able to help me out, the young boy said loud and clear, which made Ino feel taken aback. You train me? We're the same age, what could you possibly even teach me? After saying those words, Ino felt a chill go down her spine as Naruto closed his eyes and moved his head slightly downwards so she couldn't see the smile those words brought to his lips. How much do you know about chakra control? Dusk. I can barely feel my legs, Ino thought to herself as her and Naruto walked through the city towards her parents' flower shop. You made a ton of progress today, Ino-chan, Naruto said happily, causing some villagers around to stare at him in annoyance and disgust, but he did not care to acknowledge it, and Ino was too tired to notice. Yeah, I can't believe, Sasuke, and you do that every other day. That felt more like torture than training, she uttered. It wasn't that bad, the boy teased as they arrived in front of the Yamanaka flower shop. Whatever. Next time just don't elbow me in my ribs and we're golden, she said, still annoyed about how easily he took her down when he got serious. Next time? Naruto asked incredulously. In all honesty, he was surprised she hinted they could train together again, as most people were clearly not fond of Naruto. The only people he interacts with his age are Sasuke and occasionally Shikamaru, Chuji, and Kiba. Almost everyone else in the class, well, in general, just ignore his existence. So the fact Ino was up for training with him again was truly surprising, especially since she was a girl and a clan heiress. Yeah, next time. Who else is teaching me to walk up trees and saying he can teach me to walk on water? She responds in a duh tone. Naruto is genuinely smiling by the time she finished her explanation. It seems he might have found another friend. Alright, Ino-chan, it's a promise, and I don't break my promises. See ya tomorrow, the exuberant blonde exclaimed, as he began slowly walking towards the Uchiha compound. Ino watched him leave, and as she watched him walk away she began to tiredly enter the store before she heard a loud scream, followed by "Oh, I'm late. Mikoto Kekkei-chan is gonna kill me." Ino laughed out loud and walked inside with the biggest grin ever. She can't see her life being boring if she has him around. Nighttime, Uchiha compound entrance. Fueya, I am so screwed, I'm an entire hour late, Naruto sighed as he approached the Uchiha compound gates. However, he slowed down his speed as he realized something was not right. Where are Kasumi and Hashiro? He asked himself, as he knew they were on guard duty for the day after seeing them earlier in the morning. What was even more strange was that the gates weren't closed. Naruto immediately sensed something wrong, and he picked up the pace and entered the compound. He only had to take a single turn to witness a sight that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Bodies everywhere. Elderly, men, women and children all lay silent in the streets in pools of blood. Naruto peered down to his right and saw the open eyes of Uchiha Kasumi, who had just become a genin recently, and was excited to begin her shinobi life. They stared back at him, devoid of human life, as she had a large gash across her jugular. Naruto, unable to handle what he was seeing, threw up any contents of food he had consumed that day, and continued to dry heave afterwards. After that ended, he began to panic. What should he do? There are so many dead. Who did this? Someone would pay for slaughtering these people. If Sasuke and Itachi found. Wait, Naruto said as realization entered his mind. He quickly forgot about the feeling of helplessness he was in, and used his full speed to run towards the clan head's house. It'll be alright, Mikoto-ka, Itachi and I, Sasuke and I, even Fugaku-san, they're all safe, he told himself over and over. He never made it to the house. As Naruto turned one more corner, he witnessed the scene of Sasuke collapsing to the ground as a figure clad in what appeared to be gear stood in front of him. Naruto said, his cerulean eyes wide open as his hands lay limply to his side. This prompted the suspected assailant to raise his head from staring at Sasuke, his back still facing Naruto. What are you doing? Naruto's voice croaked out as he slightly lifted his hand to limply point at Sasuke. To my brother. After asking that question, a rage overtook Naruto, and he began to assimilate the Hebe hand seal to begin a fight that would end in more loss of life for most people. However, the assailant turns to fully face the 8-year-old for the first time, causing all of the bloodlust and chakra Naruto was building up to fade away in confusion. Itachi and I-san? Naruto squeaked out, stopping mid-hand seal in complete disbelief and confusion. Naruto-kun, I hope your day has been productive. You missed dinner, Itachi said with no emotion behind his words or face. Naruto was in a state of shock. He couldn't sense anyone else around. Are they all dead? The only 3 chakra signatures he could sense were Itachi's, Sasuke's, and his own. He could have sworn he felt another one, but it vanished soon after his arrival. Itachi and I, Kasumi, Hashiro, everyone is dead, he said sadly, waiting to see Itachi's facial response to that news. He remained stoic. I know. I killed them. Naruto could not take it anymore. He fell to his knees as tears overpoured from his eyes. What is this? Is this reality for him? Surely it was a dream. Everyone he cared for and grew to think of as a family over the years was taken from him by the same man who gave it to him. Naruto remained there on his knees weeping as Itachi walked up towards him. Itachi grabbed the boy by his hair and punched him in his gut, hard, to ensure he would not try anything. Naruto, through the intense pain and sorrow he was feeling, did nothing but retch and spit blood. I want you to know this, the same as Sasuke learned, Naruto-kun. I killed this clan for power, to obtain the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan. The only blooded survivors are myself and Sasuke now. You were a wonderful little brother alongside Sasuke, but the time for this facade that is your life currently ends now. Remember this, all evil starts with the root, and I will continue to plant these seeds if I must to grow stronger. Goodbye, my other Otuto, little brother. Itachi's eyes began to spin as he began to use his Mangekyo abilities once more. Tsukuyami, Itachi muttered. Naruto faded from consciousness very fast, but before he did he almost swore he heard something come from Itachi, almost a whisper as his gaze softened for a second. Protect Sasuke. Naruto's mindscape. The young boy shot up in an instant, suddenly finding himself in ankle-deep water. My head, where am I? He asked himself, as he gazed around a corridor with what seemed like hundreds of pipes lining the walls. He got up and walked aimlessly for about a minute before he reached a wide open area. The ceiling was too high to see as eventually it got too dark to see past a certain point. The room seemed to be empty, however as Naruto looked around more he noticed the large sealed gates across from him. Gates? He thought to himself. Wherever he is, why are there a pair of gates this large in a place like this? As he inched closer, he got his answer as a glowing red feral eye easily 4 times his size opened to stare at him. Kihihi, so I am given the pleasure of finally meeting my warden, a large booming voice stated sarcastically as Naruto continued to look on in disbelief. What are you? The boy managed to push out as he was afraid of whatever it was talking to him. However, he did not back down from his position, which intrigued the hidden figure in the shadows. The demon who just saved you from days of suffering, snarled the voice as it began to move to reveal itself from the shadows. As Naruto watched the lone red eye be joined by another, he watched them rise higher and higher into the air before eventually the whole picture came into view. The child had no idea what was happening right now. He woke up here, he has no idea how, and somehow standing before him is Kyuubi no Yoko, Naruto said in awe of the 9-tailed beast. That's his reaction. The Kyuubi thought to himself in disbelief. He expected a scream, the child to run, something of the sort. But no. Just the Kyuubi. Che, whatever? Kyuubi thought before moving forward. You owe me Gaki, if I didn't hate the Uchiha so much I would have let you suffer through that genjutsu. Huh? Naruto thought. The Uchiha? That's when it all came rushing back. Naruto screamed a tortured cry before weeping and falling to his knees once again, much to the Kyuubi's chagrin. They're gone. Really gone. Everyone. I don't have anyone anymore. I wasn't there to protect them. I could have stopped Itachi, helped him. The Kyuubi sat in silence, growing a tick mark as the boy kept blaming himself and his head over and over. The Kyuubi who was sharing his body knew exactly what he was thinking and was already pissed the boy was not as afraid as he expected him to be, and now he is crying over a few lost lives. As the great Kyuubi's Jinchuriki, he could have none of that. Gaki, the Kyuubi barked out, startling Naruto out of his guilt and sadness. You cry and cry for what you have lost. Everyone loses someone, humans every day do. All living creatures have. Because all these things are lost, are you planning on giving up on life? Huh. If so, release me first so I do not have to die with a wimpy vessel like you, reformation or not. I refuse to be inside a Jinchuriki who cannot see the bigger picture, fool. Kyuubi snarled. Naruto stopped letting his tears fall after hearing Kyuubi's words, but it was not enough. He required that final push, that the greatest demon already knew of. What is it you still have, boy? Those words snapped Naruto up straight. What is it he still has? Suddenly he remembered he had a shining light. He still has family. He is not alone. Sasuke and I, Naruto said aloud to himself and Kyuubi, who sighed in exasperation. What did I even do that for? I should have let the kid suffer more. The chakra mass thought to himself. Naruto was still very saddened and felt an insane amount of guilt. However, the fact he knows he still has his brother, it gives something to him he felt he almost lost at his young age. Hope. Thank you, Kyuubi. I don't know what I would have done if you didn't help me realize that boy croaked out, his voice still sore from past events. Che, whatever Gaki, if you're done whining leave me be, the Kyuubi said, as it prepared to go back to its slumber. Hold on, Naruto called out, having a hard time dealing with all the emotions flooding through him from the events of the past 24 hours known to him. However, even through all of it he caught the multiple phrases from the Kyuubi that raised more questions than answered. Why are you saying I am your vessel, and what the heck is a Jinchuriki? Shinobi Medical Center. As Naruto slowly began to open his eyes, blinding light seemed to pierce his retinas, causing him to instinctively cover them. I must have been asleep for a while if my eyes hurt that badly from light, the young Jinchuriki surmised as he groaned and slowly began to sit up. My body aches. How long have I been out for? Naruto muttered to himself as he swung his legs over the hospital bed, choosing to sit on the edge for a while, before he heard the door swing open. 3 days, Naruto-kun, the Sandaime said, giving Naruto the warmest smile he could given the predicament. 3. How it's been 3 days. The more awake he becomes, the faster the tears begin to form in his eyes. No screaming this time, no shock or uncontrollable rage. Just the pure, unaltered feeling of loss. Naruto-kun, Hiruzen began starting to reach out to comfort the boy before Naruto suddenly slapped his hand away, his eyes covered by his hair as he looked downwards. Hiruzen was quickly taken aback by this. Naruto had never lashed out against him before, for anything. However, right now Naruto isn't giving his surrogate grandfather the same treatment he normally would. Hiruzen sighed as he prepared to ask Naruto how he feels and what he saw of the tragedy that happened a few days ago. However, there was something that Naruto needed to know that was just eating him up the more he thought about it. So before Hiruzen managed to speak, Naruto slowly muttered out, "Did you know?" Hiruzen felt his stomach drop from those 3 simple words. There are only 3 possibilities that they could be that would have Naruto act so unlike himself with the Hokage, but Hiruzen does not intend to say a word until the boy did, else he out information that could prove fatal for him. "No, what exactly, Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen asked in return, leaning away from the boy and sitting as he would at his desk. "You know what I am talking about, Hokage-sama," Naruto said clearly this time, as he brought his head up to meet Hiruzen's hard eyes. Hiruzen expected to see anger or sadness in the eyes of the child, but all he was left with was a pair of lost eyes. Seeing his surrogate grandson like this broke Hiruzen's heart, but he knew this was necessary. "I am sorry, Naruto, I am afraid I wonder what other things you could have lied to me about other than the Kyuubi, Hokage-sama," Naruto interjected with poise. In his head, Hiruzen took the largest sigh he had in a long time. This was going to be a hard conversation to move around if the boy knew that much. "Who told you of this, Naruto-kun?" the Hokage asked firmly, keeping his eyes focused on Naruto. The 8-year-old could only take so much before he felt a spike of anger and animosity. That's it, he began, that's it? You keep the biggest secret of my life from me for the entirety of it, and it took the very thing you were hiding from me to tell me before you did? Naruto snapped. Naru. And no, the boy suddenly exclaimed as he finally lifted his body off the bed and stood before Hiruzen. If the boy had been older, this might have intimidated Hiruzen a slight bit, but the child currently reached his eye level sitting down. Do not try to tell me I couldn't know, it is my body. I had every right to know, Naruto began as he started to become choked up. The stares, the curses they yelled at me, it was all because of a demon sealed inside of me? The few times in my life before I could defend myself when I was beat up and nearly killed each time. The last time it happened, did you know they figured out I could heal super fast, Gigi? Do you know what that knowledge opened up to do to me? I wasn't even 5, Gigi. This was no shinobi in training talking. This was a young innocent boy who has been traumatized and went through terrible experiences and still managed to keep a smile on his face. Naruto had managed to break the professor's mask, as a tear began to roll down his cheek as he closed his eyes. Why couldn't I know that I really am the KY? Uzumaki, Naruto, stop talking right now, the Hokage interjected and forcefully pulled the boy into a hug as he let his tears flow freely at this point. Hiruzen Sarutobi does not have many weaknesses at this point in his life, but Naruto was definitely one of them. You are a hero to this village, boy. You and you alone are what is holding back the Kyuubi and keeping our village safe day in and day out. You have such a unique way to touch others' hearts that I just haven't seen in a long time. I love you as my own grandson, Naruto, and I am sorry. The Kyuubi is highly dangerous, and if you knew and word spread out, I did not want your life becoming any more dangerous than it already would be. However, it is no excuse, and I cannot express how sorry I am to have failed you up to this point. Never again. I love you, Boku no Masuko, my grandson. At this point, Naruto was holding on to his Jisan tightly, his head buried in his robes, and the Sandaime gave a small smile through his tears to the boy. After a short while, Naruto released the Sandaime and cleared his face, to look back up at the old man with puffy eyes and a foxy grin. It's okay, Jisan. Moment of weakness for me, hee. I love you too. In the moment, the Sandaime thought about if he did this again with the secret of the boy's parents. I wish I could tell you, Naruto. I truly do, but you are not strong enough to protect yourself from the people who would seek you out if your lineage was revealed. The Hokage suddenly gained a determined face, which caused Naruto's face to switch to one of confusion. Gigi? Are you okay? The boy said as he squinted his eyes and puckered his lips at the man in his attempt to lighten the mood. Forgive me, Naruto-kun, but there is one more secret that I am unable to disclose to you at this time. I am nearly breaking my own vows telling you this much right now, but just know, I will reveal it to you when I believe you are capable of defeating any adversary that might come for you because of it. The Sandaime said with passion and swiftness in his voice. Seeing the resolute and powerful message the Sandaime is sending his way, Naruto quickly straightened up and bowed. Hi, Ji-san. Thank you for at least telling me that much, regardless of what it is. Naruto said, happy the Sandaime was willing to share more he knew nothing of. Hiruzen smiled and told the boy to stand, which immediately caused him to break his professionalism and be loud about how that Hiruzen telling him that was such a teaser. The next few hours the Hokage had spent time with Naruto in his room, catching up, listening to what had happened to him a few nights ago, and many other topics. It had been long since he has been able to do this with the boy, and he feels gratitude that he is still able to. However, after a while he received a signal from one of his personal umbu that he is needed back at the Hokage Tower as soon as possible to welcome an important diplomat. Well, Naruto-kun, I have enjoyed this very much so. I hope our conversation has cleared a lot up for you. Duh, Gigi, the boy exclaimed as he grabbed his clothes from the desk in the corner of the room, changing into the freshly cleaned items. I hope we can do this again sooner rather than later, the boy finished, giving the old man a huge grin. Hiruzen chuckled as he got up to leave, when the door suddenly burst open with one of the nurses frantically entering. As she entered the room and saw her Hokage and Naruto stare at her with a deadpan expression, she immediately cleared her throat as her face turned red from embarrassment, and bowed to the Hokage before stating, I apologize for my rudeness, Sandaime-sama, but Uchiha Sasuke has just awoken. Before the Hokage could even respond to her, Naruto was in front of her in an instant, which startled the nurse in surprise from the sudden 8-year-old in front of her. What room, Granny? The boy asked frantically, which caused the nurse, Megumi, to get a tick mark on her head before she glared at the boy and said, I'm 16, and I was here to inform the Hokage, not you, brat. She finished in a huff before turning back to the Hokage and bowing again. You may tell him. I have somewhere to be right now so Naruto can step in for me to be the first speaker that interacts with Uchiha Sasuke. Nah, Naruto-kun? "Osu Ji-san!" Naruto exclaimed, his eyes never leaving the nurse. Megumi nodded, as what else would she do from the Hokage basically giving her that order. "Hi, Sandame-sama," she replied before turning to Naruto, who was clearly impatient as ever. Room 4. Naruto at this point wanted to elbow this old lady in her spleen with how much she was dragging this out. 6-1. As soon as the last number left Megumi's mouth, Naruto dashed past her and yelled, "Thanks for nothing, Granny," which caused the lady in question to stop giggling before cursing the young boy to be more respectful as he disappeared down the hall. "I'd better never see that little brat here again," Megumi huffed as she quickly bowed to the Sandame before scurrying away once again. Hiruzen chuckled once more before he shunshined away. That boy won't ever change at heart. Room 461. Naruto has been standing outside the door to Sasuke's room for about 3 minutes now, and he's still building up the courage to walk in. I took this act of terror and it almost destroyed me. What can I possibly do to help him? As Naruto kept pacing outside the door, he caught a glimpse of Sasuke through the window, and all of the nervousness he was feeling went away. He slapped both hands against his cheeks before taking a deep breath. This isn't like me. That's my brother for Kami's sake. I just need to be there for him. And with that final thought, Naruto opened the door to Sasuke's room and saw his Kyodai for the first time and since the incident fully. There hasn't been a more saddening version of Sasuke than the one Naruto was staring at right now. The Uchiha didn't even realize the door was open, as he was lost in thought as he stared down at his legs on the bed. Uchiha Sasuke seemed devoid of life. His eyes didn't hold their usual fire to improve and surpass his limits. He was pale as Naruto had ever seen him, and the 1,000-mile stare he was entranced in. "Damn it, Itachi," Naruto cursed, "just why?" After shaking his head clear, Naruto spoke up for the first time since entering. "Sheesh, you've seen better days, Sasuke-chan." Sasuke immediately perked up and turned to look in Naruto's direction, disbelief in his eyes as he stared at him. Naruto was confused a little by Sasuke's reaction. It was as if he had seen a ghost. "No," Sasuke quivered as he attempted to get out of bed for the first time since being placed there 3 days ago. "It can't, you aren't real," Sasuke kept muttering to himself as he slowly got out of bed and made his way to Naruto through his weakness. Naruto just stood there taken aback by the disbelief and surprised tone Sasuke was giving off. "Sasuke, I know it's been a few days, but are you sure you're okay?" "I'll let go, you bastard." Sasuke had finally reached the blonde and suddenly grabbed a hold of Naruto's cheek and pinched it hard. Naruto pried Sasuke's hand off, which was not too hard since his body was still in the process of waking up and healing, but after soothing his cheek for a couple seconds he was about to get his revenge when suddenly Sasuke enveloped him in a bear hug. "Oi, what the hell is going on? First you pinch me," and then Naruto trailed off, as he heard his brother begin to sniffle. A small smile adorned the Uzumaki's face as he embraced his brother back. I thought you died along WW with everyone else." The 8-year-old survivor managed to let out through barely controlled sobs at this point. A/N. Yes, Sasuke is stuttering and his voice is cracking all over. He's 8 and was raised differently than Canon Sasuke. "Huh. But you knew I wasn't at the compound," Naruto said, getting teary-eyed from the amount of emotion Sasuke is showing to him. "I Itachi." His Jijinjutsu, Sasuke said, his words muffled by Naruto's shirt as Naruto wondered what he meant. When he realized exactly what it was, Tsukuyami the blonde realized. Hiruzen had explained the basis of what happened to Sasuke and the basics of the S-rank Genjutsu. Naruto had no idea what Itachi showed him, but he wasn't going to pry at all. After all, he needed this as much as Sasuke did. The two brothers stayed hugged together for a little while longer. After going through something as traumatic as what they experienced at such a young age, it's all that you can do to embrace the last family you have left. After the much-needed therapeutic session, the boys sat on Sasuke's bed together. They both sat in silence for a while, not forcing anything to come out, just glad to be there together. After some time, Naruto opened his mouth to communicate to Sasuke that he needed to know something. However, Sasuke had the same goal, and before Naruto could start, the lone Uchiha stated, "I will go after him." Naruto closed his mouth and faced forward again, closing his eyes in exhaustion as Sasuke said that. "I must, Nisan. He killed my cousin's parents. Everyone other than you in my life is dead by his hands. I do not care how long it takes to avenge them. Naruto, I will not stop," Sasuke stated vehemently. "Look," Naruto interjected. "I get it, okay? Trust me, I do. Itachi did something unforgivable. But we cannot allow what he has done to consume our lives. We're 8, almost 9 for crying out loud, Sasuke." Che, the boy scoffed in response, looking the other way. Nisan, do not misunderstand me, Naruto said as Sasuke turned slightly to catch his brother out of the corner of his eye. Itachi will pay for what he did by your hands. I will be there to make sure of it, Naruto said in the most chilling way any 8-year-old could, which brought Sasuke's full attention onto him. However, this cannot consume us, Sasuke. Naruto advanced, as Sasuke humored him by listening to what he has to say fully. We lost so much, you even more than me, I know. Itachi deserves everything coming to him and I will help you do that, okay? But if we move our lives on a path of vengeance we won't be happy or satisfied in the end. Sasuke seemed visibly impressed by the last line which Naruto hid a smirk at. Thanks Jisan for that line, there was no way I was coming up with that one, the young blonde thought to himself before one final push. Naruto got up and paced around the room a little, before stopping in front of Sasuke, who looked back incredulously to his blonde counterpart. During my time unconscious, I met someone I suppose you can say, Naruto said elusively. Sasuke was slightly confused because to his knowledge Naruto had to have been asleep for 3 days or less, so who could he have met while being unconscious? Besides the point, okay fuck this, Naruto sighed, prompting Sasuke to raise an eyebrow. The Uzumaki took a deep breath, and said it. I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, and he is the being I met while unconscious. Naruto huffed out. Sasuke stared back at him with an eyebrow still raised high in the air in an almost disbelieving manner. I'm sorry you're the Jin. Never mind that for right now, Naruto said, which almost caused the raven-haired boy to face fault. No one knew how to change this boy's emotions like Naruto did. No, not never mind, this is important, Sasuke forced as he gave a hard stare towards Naruto. The boy in question was now getting nervous. He wanted to brush over the Kyuubi with Sasuke anyways, but he did not know what he would do if his brother ended up hating him too, along with most villagers. As the anxiety builds up, Sasuke opens his mouth, as the other boy braces himself for anything he might hear coming from him. We should have talked about that first. I can see it had you pretty worried, Naruto and I, Sasuke replied calmly, causing his brother to look up in amazement. So you don't care that I'm housing the demon fox? Not like I knew before. What difference will it make on us, you know? The raven-haired boy stated, which in his own way meant more to Naruto than he could know. Now, as he smiled knowing that the fox won't impede anything he cares about, he is reinvigorated to get Sasuke to not have the seeds of hatred Itachi planted in him turn into a root. Now that you know that person is the Kyuubi, I can freely just tell you something similar but less rough I guess that he told me, Naruto finished sheepishly, as he scratched the back of his head. I have said this 1,000 times already, but you know who you have lost, you know what you can't take back, but do you think your family wants to see you throw your life away for a vengeance you can do all the same without holding it over your own head constantly? There is nothing else for me to do, Naruto, Sasuke interrupted, hearing enough. I understand what you are saying, but my biggest goal in life now is killing Itachi. I can't see anything getting in the way of that. The Uchiha finishes, as he begins to rub the scar on his left hand unknowingly. Then this is the only thing I can say then to try to help you change your mind, so please, look at me and answer this, Naruto contends, as Sasuke turns and faces his brother, as he requested. Naruto looked him in the eyes and said, You have lost so much, Sasuke-ni. But please, Naruto said, never breaking eye contact. What is it that you still have, Nai-san? The Uzumaki boy asked questioned. Sasuke looked at Naruto as he was asked that question, and was reminded of the agony he felt when he believed his other brother had died with his family. He felt alone. Unreal. As if life was a constant nightmare. But when he came back, that alone improved my health tremendously. Without Naruto. Sasuke got up, his limbs feeling much more awake and less tired now, grabbed his fresh clothes and began to change into them. Naruto sat waiting patiently for an answer. As Sasuke finished and turned back towards Naruto, he gave the other boy a glare. Che, to think this stupid kid that laughed at me for tripping over groceries would mean this much to me, he thought. Sighing, he dropped his glare, and gave Naruto a small nod, prompting Naruto to shout white taa as he zipped off the bed in success. But Sasuke started as he closed his eyes facing his brother. In the future you will not interfere in the fight itself, Sasuke said as he opened his eyes to reveal a two-tomo Sharingan in his left eye and one in his right. As I will beat him, on my own. Naruto had stopped celebrating as soon as Sasuke began talking, but seeing that he had finally awoken his Sharingan was huge for the other boy. As long as you win I see no problem with it. Of course I'll win, dope. What did you say, team? The two boys bickered back and forth in Sasuke's hospital room before feeling as if it was too enclosing, and escaped the hospital through the window. The two of them had begun taking a path towards the Uchiha compound since it was what felt natural as they continued to talk and discuss things, when Sasuke froze, and put his arm in front of Naruto to stop him as well. Not now. I don't want to go back yet, Sasuke muttered, and that caused his brother to grin. Well, luckily for you, I know a place, Naruto started before he yelled "Let's go!" and sped towards his old apartment complex. At first Sasuke was annoyed at the antics the other child was always concocting, however a small smile adorned his face. He still has family left. With that known, he chased after the Uzumaki clansmen. They both know that for a few more days, they will be mourning their loved ones. But Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke have never felt more motivated in their lives to gain strength. The bond they share will ultimately make them stronger than they could have been without it. Unknown location. Well, Orochimaru Zetsu. How long will it take for it to grow? Quite some time, Leader-sama. I estimate more than 5 years, but less than 9. That does not help much with such a large gap, does it? The components were much too difficult to assemble as it was, Leader-sama. If we force anything. Enough. Very well. You are dismissed. As the communications cut, the man left alone continued to stare in admiration as he eventually left and began to walk away. Peace will truly soon be within our grasp. 4 years later. BZCT. Oh, shut up, a 12, almost 13-year-old Naruto spit out as he slammed his hand on the alarm as the boy groggily sat up in his bed. He heard a door open and close on the other side of the apartment before footsteps began walking towards his bedroom. As the blonde continued to sit there wiping the crust out of his eyes, his door opened and he was welcomed to the sight of his brother, casually brushing his teeth with a look of judgment clearly being cast his way. I've heard that alarm go off about 3 times now, Sasuke said patronizingly as he continued to eye the blonde who began to force himself out from under his covers. Shut up, there's a snooze button for a reason and I am going to use it, the blonde said, showing clear annoyance from his brother's input. Well, Sasuke began as he turned, leaving the door opened as he walked back towards his bathroom. Hurry up and get ready, today is the day of our final examination and you're the only person I know who would possibly show up late for it. As Sasuke closed the door leading to his side of their apartment, Naruto stood in his underwear in the middle of his room for a few seconds, his lips puckered and eyes squinted, before they suddenly widened, and he screamed "Shit," before scrambling to get ready before class began. Sasuke, who heard the outburst, quietly chuckled to himself, as he finished getting himself together. Today was the day he was waiting for. He would finally become a shinobi. A shinobi they will all be proud of, the young Uchiha thought to himself as he smiled slightly, remembering his late family members. As Sasuke finished brushing his teeth and began to exit the apartment, he suddenly had the instinct to duck as Naruto leapt over him with a boastful howl, landing swiftly to the ground as he zoomed past Sasuke and booked it to their destination. Sasuke sat in a heap on the ground looking incredulously at the dust cloud that was his brother making his way towards the academy. I literally saw him get up 2 minutes ago, the raven-haired boy thought bewildered, before shaking his head and taking his time as he walked towards the objective he has been waiting to reach for years. Streets of Konoha. Yamanaka Ino was currently walking down the streets of Konoha, portraying a calm and collected exterior, but inside, she was a bucket full of nervousness. Today she would take her final exam and tomorrow finally see after 4 years if she would become the Kunoichi of the year. As the Yamanaka heiress continued to make her way towards the academy, a voice which was a large reason for her anxiety called out to her. Hey Ino pig, interesting to see you here, the voice called out snobbily. Ino sighed, as she turned slightly to see her best friend Harino Sakura catch up to her. I don't see why it's interesting, Sakura. I have taken this path to the academy for the past 6 years, the blonde replied smoothly, which caused Sakura to adorn an annoyed scowl. Ino wasn't sure when it occurred, but once Sakura became aware that Ino was competing with her in the race for Kunoichi of the Year, she had become very hostile towards the other girl. Ino knew the reason why, of course. Ever since their first year at the academy, it has been every fangirl's dream to be on the same genin team as Uchiha Sasuke. However, with her smarts it became clear that Sakura seemed to be the only one that would be able to grab that title. However, at some point during their 3rd and 4th years at the academy, Ino had began growing leaps and bounds ahead of the other girls in their physical portions of classes, which was the other half of their grade. It eventually led to Ino outclassing most of the females in the academy when it came to anything dealing with combat. The only other female somewhat capable of dealing with her was another clan heiress, Hyuga Hinata. But for those that could tell, it was clear the shy heiress was holding her capabilities back quite a lot out of shyness and fear of hurting others. This set Ino in a position to potentially gain the title of Kunoichi of the Year due to her physicals far surpassing her competition. How did she even become so strong like that? The pinkette asked herself as she glared at Ino through the side of her eye, while the girl in turn raised her nose and cocked her head slightly as if to say, "You aren't worth my time." What many of the academy residents do not know is that Ino had been receiving extra training from one Uzumaki Naruto for the past 4 years, a couple times every week. While she hated to admit it, she owes all her amazing growth to the boy, as he had made her stronger than she could dream of, and because of his help, her ambition became that much closer to becoming her reality. The two girls both knew that the other had something that they themselves did not. However, Ino smiled slightly to herself as she felt she had something that would push her over the edge that Sakura did not. Sakura, who caught the small smile from Ino, got herself more worked up, feeling as if the blonde was trying to irk her. "Smile while you can, Ino pig," Sakura said as she began to walk a little faster than her old friend, "because tomorrow, I am going to be the one that ends up with the title and on Sasuke-kun's team," she finished confidently, continuing her slightly faster pace. Ino gained a tick mark on her forehead from Sakura's remark. Ino could not give two hoots about Sasuke, and if she did not know about Naruto's plan, she wouldn't even be shooting as hard for the title. However, no matter what she says to the other girl, she continues to believe that Ino is also vying for his affection. Not to be outdone, Ino quickly matches Sakura's pace before she herself begins to walk faster, causing her to be somewhere between a jog and a walking pace. Whatever forehead, keep thinking you'll get Kunoichi of the Year no matter what, just cause you're a little book smart. In the end we'll see who the one who really fails at not just this, but being a shinobi, and it isn't going to be me, the blonde bit back. Sakura, who grew angrier at the reply, continued to try to overtake Ino as they continued to the school. The power of brains with Sakura and the strength of combat and survival with Ino, the two's power struggle would end in the next 24 hours. However, as the two continued their childish struggle against one another, their main character moment was quickly ripped apart as a loud, brash holler could be heard from the distance. Sakura, who hadn't experienced this out in public, was quick to turn around and ask, "What is that?" as the noise grew closer. Ino, on the other hand, sighed as she quickly moved herself to the side of the street, feeling pity for herself for recognizing the sound so easily. As Sakura was about to question Ino's movements, her immediate reaction quickly turned to one of fear as she screamed as the source of the sound came upon her quickly before leaping above her onto the roofs of the vendors' stalls lining the street, causing a lot of commotion and confusion to the immediate populace of the area. Sakura, who fell to her but in the commotion looked up to barely catch a glimpse of Ino, who never stopped heading towards the academy, before she disappeared in the confusion. As she gathered herself from the embarrassment of falling and losing her old friend, she looked to the corner of her eye to see an outstretched hand for her to grab and be helped up. Quickly turning away from the hand, face red with embarrassment, "I don't need any help from you," quickly left her lips as she pulled herself up to her feet, still not facing whoever it was offering their help. That's the last time I tried to be kind to a fangirl," the voice stated in an uncaring tone before continuing on their way. Sakura quickly whipped around and caught sight of Uchiha Sasuke, and realized her actions. She immediately began chasing after the boy while begging him to forgive her and to wait up. He most certainly did not. Academy classroom. As Yumino Iruka entered the classroom, he was met with many amusing and confusing sights. Sasuke, Naruto, and Ino sat together towards the back of the classroom, where they had been for the past 4 years. Sasuke had a very annoyed look on his face, with a scowl topping it off, while Ino held a similar expression as she focused her gaze towards the window. Uzumaki Naruto, however, was the odd one out, as he was pouting and soothing his head, saying something about not realizing he was 20 minutes early. Haruno Sakura sat a few desks away from them, seemingly depressed as her hair hung over her eyes and her hands were clasped together in front of her mouth. Iruka figured it must have been something serious to the girl, as right around her Kiba was trying to get Shino to put bugs into his body, which the other boy found highly offensive. As he looked to his left, he caught Hyuga Hinata looking longingly towards the desk Uzumaki Naruto sat behind. Nothing new there, the Chunin thought to himself. Everything else about the room seemed relatively normal, with the Akimichi boy eating in class as his close friend lay asleep on the desk next to him. However, today was very special. "Good morning, class," Iruka began. To his surprise, it immediately quieted down, and everyone took their seats and waited for Iruka to begin. The man was chuckling slightly on the inside as he guessed the kids realized how important today was for them. The graduation exam, The exam they have been preparing themselves to take for the past 6 years of their lives were finally here, and they wanted to make sure they understood everything beforehand. As Iruka began to explain the process to everyone, Naruto looked towards Sasuke, who looked back at him and gave him a smirk as they fist bumped. Their plan to be on the same team was almost complete, and all that was left was completing the exam. Naruto, is there something you'd like to share with the rest of us? A new voice said, as the door to the classroom closed from their entrance. The young blonde rolled his eyes slightly before saying, "No, Mizuki-sensei, sorry." "Focus on what Iruka is saying to you," vocalized the assistant sensei as he leaned onto the backboard with a small scowl that quickly became a smirk. "With how you've been performing recently, you'll need all the help you can get." "Mizuki," Iruka warned, as the class snickered at the remark the man made towards the boy. The man in question raised his hands as if to apologize and took his seat, the smirk still present on his lips. Mizuki was a part of the staff assignment change implemented 4 years ago, and was placed as help for Iruka. However, since he has joined, he has shown clear dislike for the resident Jinchuriki. Naruto scowled at the man, with Ino showing clear disgust towards the Chunin as well. Sasuke himself kept a cool exterior, but his eyes showed a different story as they locked together with Mizuki's, which sent a chill down the elder man's spine, and he quickly lost his smirk and averted his gaze. Ignoring the laughs at his expense, Naruto refocused on Iruka, who explained the exam's process. As you all know, there are 3 portions to this exam. Firstly, is the written test. This caused the class to groan but Sakura to perk up at, as she stole a confident glance towards the Yamanaka heiress. This exam will be covering history of the shinobi world as well as practical situation questions you must answer in full sentences. You will have 1 hour and 30 minutes to complete this test. For the second phase, we will be holding our final tournament of your academy days. Your score will not be based on where you place, but from what you are able to show in your time competing. The more you win, the more you get to show us. Finally, we have the basic ninjutsu portion of the exam. You will have to show us the Academy 3. In other words, you must perform the bunshin, clone technique, kawarimi, body substitution, and the henge, transformation, to an acceptable degree to pass. Does everyone understand this process? Iruka asked aloud, as he heard murmurs of yes and slight nodding of heads. Smiling, the Chunin addressed the class. "I am very proud of all of you for your perseverance during all these years. Let's finish strong," he finished before turning to prepare the first phase. Around the classroom, everyone reminded themselves of why they were here. From the shallowest of reasons to the most righteous, they all found their resolve by the time Iruka finished passing out tests. "You have 1 hour and 30 minutes, the man said as he stood in front of the class. Hajime. So began the final exam of their academy days. 3.5 hours later. "All right, take your seats, Iruka called out to the group. All that was left of them to do was take their third portion of the final exam, and they were done. "Okay, we'll go alphabetically, so Aburame Shino, you're first." As Iruka began the final portion of the exam, Naruto had a rare moment of silence, sitting back with his eyes closed and began to replay how well he believed the day was going for Sasuke and his plan. In the second test, the tournament, Naruto purposely lost in the second round after narrowly winning the first one. He had gotten up quickly after the loss was called and sauntered back happily into the mix of the class, much to everyone else's would-be confusion. After all, they were all there to witness the first ever tournament that ended with Naruto and Sasuke fighting, and since then, they have never seen such an outstanding performance from a pair of students. It seemed as if Naruto became a dead last loser in most things, as Sasuke wiped the floor with his competition every time. Many questioned if that first tournament was an imagination of theirs, but then they would all have imagined the same thing. Regardless, they were now more used to this current, dead last Naruto than the one they were first introduced to, so they were not surprised he lost, but confused he seemed happy. Ino, who looked at the resting boy, shook her head and smiled. She was the only other person who knew of Naruto and Sasuke's plan, and in turn made it a part of her own motivation to become Kunoichi of the Year. Everyone knows that the Rookie and Kunoichi of the Year get placed on the same team together. However, to round out teams, they would also be placed with the dead last. That means if she secures her place with the award, then her ambition she has had for the years will come to fruition. This did take more arguing with Daddy than I would like to admit though, she thought to herself in annoyance. Ever since she could remember, her father has wanted her to be placed on a team along with the Akimichi and Nara clan heirs, so they could become the new generation of the Ino Shikacho team that their parents made famous during the Third Shinobi World War. However, Ino had told her father she wished to be placed on a different team because she believed her potential would reach greater heights on it, and it sparked an argument between her and her father for many months. Thankfully, her mother intervened and helped them come to an agreement, getting annoyed by the two. If Ino manages to win Kunoichi of the Year, her father won't affect the grouping of teams and will allow her to take the risk of landing on the team she wants. However, when Ino, Shikamaru, and Chuji all reach the rank of Chunin, she will begin their Ino Shikacho training with no complaints. Also, if she doesn't win the award, then clearly she will be placed how her father wishes her to be anyways. It'll be enough, the blonde said to herself, before being pulled out of her thoughts by the sound of Uzumaki Naruto standing up. I guess it's my turn, he said giddily as his name was called. Sasuke, who had just earned his Hitaiite, his headband, passed by the other boy and gave him a small nudge on his shoulder as he made his way to Irika and Mizuki. Naruto began the final portion of the exam, with Irika and Mizuki watching him intently. It's already known this kid can't do the bunshin technique, there is no way this kid is passing, and that'll be the catalyst to my plan, Mizuki thought to himself slyly, as he watched the boy finish showing off his perfect kawarimi. Okay Naruto, lastly, all I need is for you to show me is a bunshin now, Irika said. Mizuki smirked, and as he looked down to his testing papers, prepared to mark Naruto for failure, before he heard the boy say, "Oh, I almost forgot, here you go Irika-sensei," after rummaging in his pocket to pull out a folded and slightly crinkled letter. What is this, Naruto? Irika questioned as he unfolded the letter, and raised his eyebrows quickly seeing the mark of the Hokage on the front. Mizuki, who also caught a glimpse of the mark, quickly got into a position to see the contents of the letter. Well, you see, I cannot perform the bunshin like everyone else cause I just have too much chakra, the boy said sheepishly, as he rubbed his head. But Jisan said I could use a substitute, can I show you? The boy finished, as Irika finished the letter confirming the boy's words, and gave a nod to him. Alright. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Suddenly, 5 Narutos popped up from a cloud of smoke, all with that foxy grin plastered onto their lips. As Mizuki sat fuming at the predicament, Irika smiled and nodded at Naruto in a proud fashion. Congratulations Naruto, you passed. Not with flying colors, but passed nonetheless. Yada! The boy and his clones whooped, as they celebrated and pumped their fists into the air before his clones dissipated. The table with the Hitaiite is behind me, so go select the one you wish, Irika finished, allowing the boy through, much to Mizuki's chagrin. As Naruto arrived to the table, there wasn't too much variety in the headbands, but he decided to choose one with a black, somewhat medium-sized length, so the ends would flow slightly behind him as he wore it. As Naruto approached the table, he fist-bumped Sasuke and got a punch of congratulations on the arm from Ino, as she walked up to complete the exam herself. Amidst all the happiness everyone was portraying and feeling, Mizuki was panicking. What was he to do now? His whole plan banked on the demon failing. He never expected him to pass, with a B-rank Kenjutsu no less. As Mizuki began to feel all hope was lost, an idea suddenly popped into his head, which slowly brought his smirk back to his lips. He may be able to salvage this setback after all. We finally did it, Sasuke and I, Naruto said as he slowly rocked back and forth on a swing right outside of the academy entrance. We could have much sooner if you just took the early exam with me, the Uchiha said matter-of-factly as he stood leaning against the tree with his arms folded, causing the blonde to glare at him. Both boys were very happy and pleased with themselves though, as anyone would be after completing a journey that seemed so long. As they continued to joke between themselves, they were interrupted by someone unexpected. Congratulations, you too, Mizuki said kindly with a smile on his face as he approached the two brothers. The boys narrowed their eyes at the man, never seeing blatant kindness from him whenever Naruto was involved. Can we help you, sensei? Sasuke asked as he stood straight up from the tree looking directly at his now former teacher. Mizuki continued to smile before saying, actually, I was hoping to speak to Naruto in private, if you wouldn't mind, Sasuke? The boy in question was reluctant to leave, clearly not trusting the man, before he saw Naruto nod to him from the corner eye. The lone Uchiha sighed, before shooting a peace sign at the boy and walking off, leaving the two alone. What can I do for you, sensei? Naruto asked skeptically. Well, Naruto, the man began, it's more about what I can do for you. If you didn't know, you will be named the dead last tomorrow, while Sasuke will definitely be named Rookie of the Year. Seeing how close you both are, I know that must upset you seeing your brother so far ahead like that, so I decided I could help you, the man finished, leaving his proposition open for Naruto to press for more information. The young boy sensed some sort of foul play at hand here, as it made no sense for Mizuki to do this for him, but the boy humored him, signaling him to continue. You see, there is a special exam that can boost your grade exponentially high, to the point you can go from dead last to the Rookie of the Year. It hasn't been used in recent years, but I decided that you deserve a shot. The Chunin finished, his smile seemingly more devilish than kind to the boy he was speaking to. What do I have to do? That caused Mizuki to smile. It was still possible. Have you heard of the Scroll of Ceilings? Nighttime, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen was a tired man. He had been a shinobi for over 5 decades, and leading his village as the Hokage for most of that time. He had always pictured himself being struck down by a strong opponent on the battlefield, as most veteran shinobi did, but he feels the paperwork he has to deal with will sooner to take him. As he finished his short break and returned to wrap up his work for the day, he spotted a very informal sheet of paper, laying atop the final stack he had to complete. As he grabbed the sheet and read its contents, his eyes widened slightly before quickly returning to his normal position. When this happened, several Umbu appeared in an apparent rush. Sandaime-sama, Uzumaki Naruto has stolen the Scroll of Sealing and is currently being pursued by Yumino Irika, one of the operatives informed the man, as he folded up the parchment he had, seemingly not surprised. Listen well, the S-rank shinobi began. I am assigning an A-ranked mission to retrieve the Scroll of Sealing and assist Uzumaki Naruto in the apprehension of Chunin Kento Mizuki. The Umbu, who seemed slightly confused at first, quickly bowed to the Hokage before disappearing to complete their task. As Hiruzen sat down at his desk, he lit his pipe and began to gaze out of his window into the sky, before sighing after taking a long drag. I'm getting too old for this shit. Outskirts of Kanehigakure. Sasuke, hurry up already, idiot. You can't be here when the bastard comes, Naruto said to his brother, who had his Sharingan activated as he quickly remembered a jutsu that seemed beneficial for himself to learn. Che, I did it way faster than you did, idiot, the boy finished as he closed the scroll and tossed it back over to Naruto. I still can't believe you followed me, the blonde muttered childishly as Sasuke rolled his eyes. Like I'm gonna believe you that you are going out to train at 10 o'clock. The boys continued this back and forth for a little while until Naruto perked up and gave Sasuke a look, to which the other boy nodded and disappeared into the foliage, hiding his chakra signature. Moments later, Yumino Irika appeared, which surprised Naruto as he expected Mizuki to be the one popping out. Naruto, what in the hell do you think you are doing? Exclaimed the Chunin instructor, approaching the boy with clear intent to lay him one. Hold on, sensei, Mizuki told me to do this, Naruto managed to get out as Irika was about to apprehend the boy. This caused Irika to pause in disbelief and confusion as they heard a laugh echo around the small clearing. Ha ha ha, excellent job, Naruto, now hand over the scroll and you pass the secret exam, Mizuki said as he appeared in front of Irika and Naruto in a tree, with a maniacal grin on his face. Mizuki, what are you? He tried to trick me to steal the Scroll of Seals to kill me and take off with it. At least that's what I came up with, the blonde stated. With a little bit of Sasuke's help, he thought to himself sheepishly. Oh ho, you figured out that much on your own, Mizuki sneered at the boy. I'm surprised a demon can think so well for himself. As Naruto heard that word again, he sighed. Yeah, hear that, Kyubi, we got another fan. Shut up, Gaki, I'm in the middle of a nap, he heard the fox reply. But you're always napping, the boy deadpanned before shaking his head and refocusing on the conversation Irika and Mizuki were having. Stop, Mizuki, it's against the third's law. Hell if I care. The demon will die tonight anyway, the man said before focusing his gaze on Naruto, a crazed look in his eyes before revealing, do you know why you are so hated in this village, boy? Why no one loves or cares for you, why everyone wished you disappeared? Well, I'll tell you. The night the Kyubi attacked the fourth needed a way to get rid of it, so what did he do? He sealed it. And guess what he sealed it into? You. That's correct, you, Uzumaki Naruto, are the Kyubi reincarnated. Mizuki spat out before continuing to laugh maniacally before looking back down to stare at the boy. At the same time, Irika looked back in fear of the boy's reaction. After several seconds, they both realized the boy was still standing there with the scroll with the same look on his face, making the silence incredibly awkward before he began to rub the back of his head and said, yeah, I know. This caused both Irika and Mizuki to face fault, resulting in Mizuki falling from the tree he was perched on, crashing into an uncomfortable heap on the ground. And I kept thinking of Peter Griffin when he falls down the stairs here, LMAO. As Mizuki got up painfully, he sent the most hate-filled stare towards the boy and Irika. It doesn't matter, I'm ending this now, the man said as he gripped the Fuma shuriken preparing to throw it at the two. Irika panicked and quickly jumped over the other person in the path of the shuriken, much to the surprise and merriment to the boy. Alright, I've seen enough, a voice said to the right of Mizuki, which startled him as he quickly spun around to be met by a heel of a foot cracking against his chin, causing him to fall backwards, knocked out cold. Iruka and Naruto stared at the figure who was Uchiha Sasuke with unreadable expressions as the boy nudged Mizuki with a foot to see if he was still conscious. Is that really it? They collectively thought to themselves. There they are, exclaimed another voice as 4 figures appeared before them. About time you guys got here, the Uzumaki complained. This guy was monologuing for the longest time. As the Umbu apprehended the unconscious Mizuki and retrieved the scroll from Naruto, the boy thanked Iruka for his clear showing of sacrifice. Not many people would do that for me, and I'll remember that forever, sensei, thank you, Naruto told him as he bowed to the Chunin instructor out of respect. It's no problem, Naruto, Iruka said, still in disbelief of this evening's endeavors. Come on, Nii-san, we still have assignments tomorrow, Sasuke said as they got the okay to return home. Yeah, I'm coming. See you tomorrow, Iruka-sensei, the blonde declared loudly as he and Sasuke exited the forest. Watching the two leave, Iruka could not help but become a firm believer of the fact that these two were certainly going to shake up more than just Konoha as they continued to leave their mark on the shinobi world itself. I'll make sure to keep watching you too, he said to himself as he also headed home, as tomorrow was sure to be yet another interesting day. Morning, Konohagakure. Yamanaka Ino was not having the best morning. From the moment she awoke from under her large, and normally welcoming comforters, she has felt very queasy and uneasy. As she stood in the bathroom brushing her teeth, trying her best to suppress the feeling to throw up, she managed to throw herself a fake smirk in the mirror, in efforts to trick herself into feeling confident. Today's the day, she thought to herself, as she quickly spit the remnants of the toothpaste into the sink and began repeatedly splashed herself in the face with water from the faucet, in an effort to calm her nerves. Today was the day the young blonde would find out if the fruits of her labors would come to fruition. All those painful training sessions with Naruto she began to dread attending every week, the countless nights she practiced on her own to not forget the feeling of what she learned the day before. That idiot managed to get me to start training like a maniac after all, she thought to herself, as she began to dress herself for her first official day as a shinobi of Konoha. The Yamanaka heiress had begun wearing the outfit she planned to don as a shinobi about a month before, so as to get used to the garments, and to make sure there were no issues with what she had on getting in her way. The young girl approved of the outfit in general, wearing a short purple vest-like blouse with a raised collar, with a purple apron skirt that is cut off on the sides. She completed the outfit with wrapped bandages covering her thighs and midsection, with her hitaite placed securely around her waist. However, the original outfit was paired along with purple and white elbow warmers, which she found a nuisance. Replacing them with a fishnet counterpart, Ino found herself prepared to head out, A/N, basically Part 1 Ino with Shippuden's elbow guards. As the young heiress quickly went to her pantry and grabbed something fast to stomach down before exiting her home, she began to think about everything that had happened that led to this moment. Entering the academy, meeting Sakura for the first time, witnessing the first tournament they participated in being so incredible and awe-inspiring, courtesy of 2 resident prodigal brothers, and being inspired to be a part of something like that. She began to smile slightly, remembering when she first met Naruto formally and how they spent the entire day together training without permission at Training Ground 4. That had been a special day for her, however a frown quickly took its place on her lips for multiple reasons. Before that day came, she had basically been a part of the rest of the population that ignored the Uzumaki's existence, and did nothing to stop his obvious harassers. Not to mention the boy had lost his entire surrogate family that same day they'd been together. Ino had no idea until about a week after, as Iruka cancelled classes for that week, and no one wished to burden a child with such knowledge. So much has occurred during our time here, she thought to herself as she neared the academy entrance. Steeling her nerves, Ino walked into the building with as much confidence as she could muster. I've grown a lot, Naruto has grown a lot, even Sasuke's apathetic ass has shown improvement, she thought as she neared the classroom. They were shinobi now. It was time they began to show they had the mindset and maturity of one. As Ino entered the classroom, she noticed that for once, she was the first one to arrive. Steadily taking her seat, she sat quietly and thought as the room began to fill with all those that passed the final exam. 15 minutes later. A tick mark grew on not only the young Yamanaka's forehead, but most of her peers as well. Iruka and most of the newly minted genin had arrived around 15 minutes ago, and had been waiting for everyone to arrive before beginning results for awards and team placements. Currently, the only people they were waiting on just happened to include someone Ino was hoping to be on a team with. So much for showing maturity, the blonde thought indignantly. Iruka, who had been with the boys during last night's escapades, decided to give them a bye and wait a while for them to show up. However, after so many minutes the Chunin instructor grew annoyed. I was there too and I am still here. Che, they'll just have to be punished later for such an uncaring attitude towards this, he thought to himself, raising out of his chair to begin his announcements. Just as the man was about to open his mouth, the academy door slid open dramatically, causing the whole class to turn their heads to see who was entering. Sorry we're late, Irika-sensei. This idiot woke up late and took extra time in the bathroom just to look presentable. Sasuke, you ass, don't casually leave out the fact you burned our breakfast. Imagine my surprise finally leaving the bathroom seeing you beat our stove down with a towel cause you almost lit everything in the vicinity on fire. I was tired. That wouldn't have happened if you didn't force me to help you with your style last night. I bet you didn't even clean the piercing like I told you to. As Naruto and Sasuke entered the classroom, bickering as they usually would, the whole class stared at them with interest, surprise, and clear shock. The two brothers had both donned a new look. Sasuke seemed to have retained his white shorts and white arm warmers, however he forsook the blue-collared shirt and dark blue shinobi sandals/leg warmers. In their place was a sleeveless black v-neck shirt that showed his mesh armor covering him underneath. This was coupled by the boy now sporting black shinobi sandals and leg warmers which were wrapped in white bandages. Finally, it was all pulled together by the Uchiha insignia on the back of his shirt, and a tight pearly white beaded necklace. The necklace seemed of high quality. As if Ino stared at it long enough, it seemed like each individual pearl had white wisps moving along inside of them. As all of Sasuke's fangirls began to swoon at the sight of the boy, Ino's jaw opened slightly ajar as her gaze switched to the boy who entered behind Sasuke. Ever since knowing the childish boy, everyone in the class took notice of the boy's obsession with orange, usually wearing different outfits provided by Sasuke's family that had a majority of the color on them. However, the Naruto Ino was seeing seemed anything but childish. The boy in question had redone his entire look. The first thing Ino noticed was the small silver hooped earring in his right ear. The boy must have put in last night, if Sasuke's statement was anything to go by. That led Ino to notice the other major difference about the boy. Surprisingly enough, Sasuke seemed to be prodigious with hair, as Naruto now sported a mid-fade on the sides and back of his head, leaving the top to be wild but controlled through the use of his hitite. As Ino continued to make her way through the boy's outfit, she noticed a similar tight beaded necklace wrapped around the Uzumaki's neck. It seemed he could not rid himself of orange completely, as this one was a strangely light orange color, compared to his brother's white, as it gave off the same wispy look. Making her way down to his clothes themselves, Ino felt her cheeks redden as she stared. Like his brother, Naruto also sported black shinobi sandals and a sleeveless top, but that's about where the similarities end. Unlike Sasuke, Naruto opted for shinobi trousers that were wrapped at the ends with bandages. He also donned a zipped-up gray vest over his mesh armor that seemed eerily similar yet different to what you might find on an umbu. Irika, too put off by the stark changes in the boys' appearances, stayed silent as the boys continued to go back and forth while approaching their seats. As the boys arrived, Naruto took his focus off his brother and turned to Ino and gave her one of his foxy grins as he began to sit down. Ino, who, like the rest of the class, had been watching the two in surprise since they entered, quickly shook off the shock and turned her head to the side, before muttering, "Took you too long enough." Naruto, who had taken his seat, just rolled his eyes slightly, before jokingly teasing, "Oh, shut up, Ino-chan, I saw you blushing from staring at Sasuke just like every other girl here. I bet waiting a little bit was worth it for." Naruto did not get to finish his sentence, as Ino whipped around in anger, before punching her blonde counterpart over the head with not much held back, causing the boy to yelp and immediately start soothing his throbbing skull while whimpering. Letting out an annoyed humph, the Yamanaka heiress turned back around towards the window in complete annoyance and frustration. Sasuke, who sat silently looking forward, watched the exchange from the corner of his eye and felt no pity for his brother. That idiot is so dense, and I doubt she's gonna own up to her own feelings, he thought to himself, before refocusing on Irika completely. Irika, who had finally shook off the insanity he just witnessed, gathered everyone's attention before beginning his last act as a sensei to this group. To begin with, I must say I am extremely proud of all of you in this room currently. You have persevered through the Academy's strenuous curriculum that many of your peers over the years could not. That is applaudable. I said most of what I wanted to yesterday to you all, so I won't be too sentimental. You are all genin now, so I expect you to protect our home in any way you can. May your wills of fire burn brightly. Irika finished, causing many of the genin in the room to force themselves to hold in their emotions. This was the day they ventured forward in their lives, and they felt proud to be ninja of Konohagakure. Now Irika began, "Here's how this will work." Ino tuned out the man as he explained how team assignments went and for everyone to go with their sensei as they came. The young blonde had no need to listen to Irika because she already studied up on how this procedure goes out of nervousness. Once Irika got to the team holding the Rookie and Kunoichi of the Year, he would announce it before listing the names. Alright, with that out of the way, let's begin. Team 1 consists of Shoyo Dai, Tetsuya Renji, and Namura Shio. Your sensei. Irika continued as Sakura smiled to herself in confidence. There is no way she didn't make Kunoichi of the Year, she just did not see it happening. Looking back at Ino, she caught eyes with her and gave her a smug smirk, before turning back around, just as Irika got to the 7th team being formed. For the 7th team, it will consist of the Rookie and Kunoichi of the Year. This caught everyone's attention, as they waited for the results of the team. For Rookie of the Year, this distinction is being awarded to Uchiha Sasuke. Congratulations. After hearing that, everyone gave a warm applause for the lone Uchiha, who nodded in appreciation, expecting the outcome. What he was truly waiting for was the results of his other 2 teammates, just to see if Naruto and his plan worked out. As for the Kunoichi of the Year, Ino prayed as she closed her eyes, feeling as if a ton of bricks weighed on her shoulders from the anticipation. Please let it be enough. This distinction has been awarded to Yamanaka Ino. Congratulations. Ino audibly gasped as the room was lit up with applause for her accomplishment. Congratulations, Ino-chan. The girl turned to see the boy she had just given a headache to smiling at her in a proud fashion, which made the girl feel tears begin to form. She could not have accomplished this without his help, and having his praise meant more to her than he could know. Before Irika could finish or the applause could die down, a loud "this is not possible" released into the air, causing everyone's attention to focus onto one Haruno Sakura, who stood up, seemingly livid. How did she win? I know I had the best marks throughout the testing phase and my Academy 3 must have gotten amazing marks as well. Why am I not the Sakura? Irika exclaimed, startling the girl, having never been yelled at by the man singularly before. Do not distrust my grading process. I kept it fair and square, and matter-of-factly since you wished to know so bad, Ino was just all around better than you were during the exam. Yes, you did indeed score the highest on the test, but Ms. Yamanaka was not that much farther behind you, while on the other hand you did much worse in the tournament than she did. That alone should tell you why she won the honor of being called Kunoichi of the Year. This sad display of defiance you just displayed ensured me that I made the correct decision. The Chunin finished cleanly, effectively embarrassing the pink-haired girl, who slowly sat back down in the pregnant silence her actions created. Yikes, Naruto thought to himself, but he knew Irika was right to do that. Sakura had to learn that not everything would go her way, so she would learn to grow from it. Now, as I was saying, Irika continued, the last member of this team will be Uzumaki Naruto. Your sensei will be Hatake Kakashi. Just as Naruto was about to leap up with joy and high-five Sasuke for their plan working, he caught Irika's eyesight, who had already predicted what the blonde would do, and his eyes sent a clear message of strenuous punishment for interrupting him as the pinkette just had. Getting the message, Naruto kept his seat but still gave a wide grin to both of his table partners, who gave a small smile in return. Their plans had worked. With that out of the way, Irika quickly announced Team 8, consisting of Shino, Kiba, and Hinata, and Team 10, holding Shikamaru, Chuji, and Sakura, who appeared to be downcast the entire time. Alright everyone, that concludes team assignments. Your Jonin-sensei will be here shortly to guide you. It has been wonderful teaching you all. Best of luck everyone, don't be afraid to visit and say hi. Irika finished cheekily, before swiftly grabbing his belongings and exiting the room, stunning everyone. However, just as he said, many Jonin began entering the room, leaving with their teams as they left. Finally having time to take everything in with all the commotion of teams getting themselves together, Ino let out a relieved sigh. I really did it, she thought to herself, a large grin forming on her lips. Making this team has been such an ambition of hers for so long that she did not know what to do with herself for completing it. Team 7 Naruto began, as he folded his arms together and nodded to himself. Yeah, that'll be a great number for when we become the best shinobi team in history, right Sasuke? The young Jinchuriki asked his brother. Of course, and I-san, Sasuke replied with his eyes closed, a small smile adorning his face. Hearing that caused Ino to focus on the two boys. The best shinobi team in history? Okay, I'm ambitious too, but be realistic. Do you know what kind of teams have preceded us? The Sannin, my dad and his squad, the gold and silver. Ino began to trail off as Naruto and Sasuke stared at her face beginning to redden the longer she stared at her blonde counterpart. The girl still had to get used to the sudden difference in the two, especially Naruto. Quickly turning away towards the window to avoid embarrassment, she muttered out basically, "You're insane if you think we can get to that point." After not hearing a reply, she slowly turned back around and found the two boys staring at her in disdain. "Ino-chan, if your goal isn't that ambitious, you'll have a hard time keeping up with me and Sasuke," Naruto said in a strangely serious voice. This caught the girl off guard by how straightforward the boy was. Is that truly their aim? They'd have to become ridiculously strong to achieve such a goal. But knowing them how I do, she began to think, they have the best shot of reaching that goal than anyone else I know, and I'm a member of this team too, so like hell I'll be left behind. Yeah, okay Naruto, Ino began putting on an uncaring front. As the two blondes continued to converse, Sasuke grew annoyed. Every other team has had their sensei come and pick up their squads at this point, and they were the only ones left in the room. Unsurprisingly, he was the only one in his group to notice, as he now had to deal with two blonde chatterboxes instead of one. Whatever, it's fine. The onyx-haired boy mused. It can't take that much longer for this guy to arrive, right? 1 hour later. At this point, the genin of Team 7 were reaching a breaking point. They have been waiting for over an hour for a sensei that had yet to come. "Che, I'm tired of this. Do you guys want to go train or something?" Naruto said exasperatedly, as he began to walk towards the classroom door. "Beats doing nothing here waiting for someone that isn't showing up," Ino agreed as she began to follow the boy, which enabled Sasuke to sigh as he also rose from his position to join his team. However, as soon as Naruto was reaching for the door handle, the doors swiftly opened on the three genin to reveal a tall, somewhat lanky man, with silver hair and a standard jonin uniform. Not being surprised or intimidated at all, Naruto's eyes squinted, and his lips became pursed, before saying to the man in a judgmental tone, "You're our sensei, aren't you? What the hell took you so long?" The man simply gazed at the three of them before giving them what they assumed to be a smile, as his one visible feature on his face, which was an eye, closed momentarily, before he said, "Meet me on the roof in the next 5 minutes." After saying this, the man quickly used the shunshin, body flicker technique, and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. The three stared at the spot the man was in moments ago, dumbfounded for a few seconds, before Sasuke sighed, as he made the same hand sign the man did and disappeared in a similar fashion. "Wait," Ino started, seeing Naruto begin to follow suit to his brother, causing him to raise an eyebrow at her. "I don't know that jutsu," she muttered, not meeting his eyes. This caused Naruto to smile, as he suddenly grabbed her hand, causing the girl to yelp, as he used the shunshin to follow the rest of their team. Academy rooftop. Hatake Kakashi was waiting on the rooftop, leaning against the railing as he patiently began to wait for the children, not expecting them to reach him for a couple minutes. However, to his surprise, one of the genin appeared before him in a shunshin, glanced at him, before quietly taking a seat on one of the steps. "I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised," the copy ninja pondered. "This must be Uchiha Sasuke, and I've heard he appeared to be very prodigious here in the academy. I suppose we'll wait here for the other two." Or so the man thought, as just as Sasuke had before, the other two genin appeared together in a swirl of leaves, which caused Kakashi to raise his eyebrows. Genin normally shouldn't be able to do many techniques at all, apart from the Academy 3. Of course, there are outliers, such as when clans begin teaching rite of passage jutsu, but it was still strange nonetheless to see the supposed dead last of his class accomplish the shunshin. While Kakashi pondered this, Ino quickly released her hand from Naruto's and sat to the left of Sasuke, as Naruto took to his brother's right. The three genin gazed towards the A-rank jonin, waiting for him to finally begin whatever it was he had planned. Clearing his throat, the copy nin introduced himself. "Hello my cute little genin. My name is Hatake Kakashi, and I have been assigned to be your jonin sensei. I figured we could all take this moment to introduce ourselves. I suppose I will show you how it is done, okay?" He finished cheerily, giving one of his patented eye smiles. The genin trio looked on with a deadpan expression, which caused Kakashi to sweat drop before he sighed and began the introduction. "As mentioned before, I am Hatake Kakashi. I like some things and dislike a lot of others. My dreams for the future never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies," he finished. It was their turn to sweat drop at the man's introduction. All we learned was his name, they all unknowingly thought in unison. "Now Blondie," Kakashi stated, causing both Naruto and Ino to perk up. The girl. "Why don't you go first, HM?" Ino nodded and took a breath before continuing. "My name is Yamanaka Ino. I like flowers, my friends, and the results of my training. I dislike the act of training itself, however, because I hate being sweaty. I suppose I also dislike rude people that choose to stay ignorant. My hobbies include gardening and aiming to be a splendid shinobi. My dreams for the future, well, I guess I would say it's to become the strongest kunoichi Konoha has ever had, she finished confidently. This caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow at her for the last part, to which she gave him a smirk and simply replied, "Gotta be ambitious, right?" Causing him to smile and chuckle. "Well, I guess I'll go next, I can't be outdone, can I?" Naruto declared before focusing his eyesight back to Kakashi. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like training, especially with Sasuke and Ino, plants, and ramen. I dislike people for judging others without understanding anything, and when I have to wake up super early. My hobbies include hanging out with Sasuke and I, training Ino-chan, being in nature, and I dabble in gardening. My dream for the future, my dream is to protect those that are precious to me no matter what, and for that I have to be strong. So if that means I have to become the strongest ninja in the shinobi world, that's just what I will do," the young Jinchuriki finished, as he raised a fist and gripped it tightly in conviction. Kakashi had an unreadable expression listening to Naruto's introduction, but something about the boy felt familiar to the man. It was almost as if he had seen the look in the young boy's eyes somewhere else. Ignoring the strange feeling he got from the boy, Kakashi sighed. Another one with large aspirations and most likely no skill to back it up. Do try to back up such a dream with your skills, yes? Amo boy, you're next. He finished, smiling, which caused Naruto to scowl at him and Sasuke to gain a tick mark on his head, while Ino stifled laughter at the emo comment. "Che, my name is Uchiha Sasuke. I like training, tomatoes, and Naruto and I dislike many things, too many to list off. I don't have any dreams, just ambitions that I will make a reality. I will avenge my clan, and bring it back to fruition one day. However, I will also make sure that I keep what's important to me safe, more than anything else," Sasuke finished, receiving an approving nod from Naruto, who gave his brother a thumbs up. "Follow directions, Mr. Apathy, you forgot your hobbies," Kakashi stated matter-of-factly, making the boy in question glare at the man, who continued to smile towards him. "Well, no matter," he began. "Now that introduction are finished, I suppose it's time to tell you about the true test to become genin." Kakashi proceeded to explain how not all the genin will truly be passed through to become official shinobi until they pass the examination test given to them by their sensei, which has a 66.7% failure rate. "With all due respect, sensei," Naruto started, "this is bullshit. Why were we led to believe we already passed then?" "Don't question your higher-ups, Uzumaki," Kakashi replied smoothly. "All you have to do is follow what I say and I'm sure you / might pass," he finished, causing the three genin to sweat drop once again. "Anyways, meet me tomorrow at Training Ground 7, at 7:30 a.m. sharp, do not be late. Also, I recommend you to not eat, or else you might throw up, ciao," Kakashi finished before leaving in the same fashion he firstly did, disappearing into the wind. Naruto, Sasuke, and Ino all stared at the spot he left behind again, all thinking curses for the man who would seemingly be leading them on the beginning of their shinobi lives. "Well, I'm still gonna eat breakfast. I'd rather throw up than be sent into a scenario with no energy," Sasuke stated, to which Naruto nodded in agreement with. Ino felt differently, however, choosing to ignore the statement. "Well, I suppose I will see you guys tomorrow then, I have to help my mother out at the shop," Ino finished, preparing to leave the rooftop through the building. "Oh, Ino-chan, wait," Naruto exclaimed, causing the girl to turn around to face him. "What is it?" Naruto motioned to Sasuke that he will catch up with him later, to which the boy nodded and leapt from the rooftop, leaving the two blondes alone. "I got something for you," Naruto said, as he began to dig around in his weapons pouch searching for an item. "Eh? This better not be a prank, Naruto," she replied vehemently, readying herself to pounce on the boy before he could run away after he sprung his trap. Ino quickly dropped her stance after Naruto successfully grabbed the item he had been searching for. Handing it to Ino, she gazed at the lavender beaded necklace the boy handed her in wonder. It was just as stunning as the pair Naruto and Sasuke had, and even matched her purple ninja wear. Ino was at a loss for words, but Naruto could clearly see her confusion of the gift. "I know how hard you've been working this entire time, and I was completely confident in the fact you would make Kunoichi of the Year, so I got Hokage Gigi's help to make these necklaces. I got them as gifts for both you and Sasuke, and congratulations for graduation and your distinctions." Ino had received gifts before from family, or sweet small things from birthday parties she has had from her peers, but no gift has ever touched her like the one Naruto has just given her. "Can you help me put it on?" she mumbled, still overwhelmed from the beautiful gift. Naruto shot her a foxy grin and agreed, grabbing the necklace from her and moving to attach it around her neck. After a few moments he stepped away, and Ino now sported the necklace the same way her team was. "Alright, Ino-chan, I'm gonna head home and prepare for tomorrow. I'll see you then, he exclaimed, preparing to leap from the rooftop in the same fashion as his brother had. Wait, Naruto! Turning around, Naruto was met with the sight of a slightly bowed Ino, who proceeded to exclaim, "Arigato," which made the boy gain a genuine warm smile across his face before he leapt from the building, leaving the Yamanaka heiress on her lonesome. After getting herself together from the beautiful gift, Ino began her walk back to her family's flower shop. Many of those she passed by noticed the pep in her step as she went along. Today was one of the best days of her life, and she was excited to show that she truly belonged on this team of prodigies in the upcoming test. Training Ground 7, 8 a.m. The loud grumble of Yamanaka Ino's stomach pierced the air as the newly minted Team 7 genin lay in wait for their sensei. "I told you that you should have eaten something," Sasuke claimed matter-of-factly as he began to wrap up his stretches. "Well, I didn't want your advice," Ino retorted, folding her arms and turning her head to the side in a prudish fashion, before her stomach betrayed her and caused her to grab it in slight discomfort. "Well, sensei seems to be late again, so honestly you might have enough time to book it into town to grab a snack for yourself," stated the resident Uzumaki, who currently laid sprawled out in the grass, seemingly enjoying the rays of the morning sun. Scoffing, Ino copied her fellow blonde's position, leaning back to gaze into the blue sky. "Like hell I'm going to risk that. If you don't remember, this test has a high failure rate, and I don't want to give him any extra reasons to try and fail me," she replied, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Suit yourself," Naruto sighed. "It's no skin off my back. He should be here soon enough. He was an hour late yesterday. I doubt it will be much worse." Sasuke, who had begun running through basic kata of his interceptor fist, suddenly got a small chill down his spine. "I have a really bad feeling about this." 2 hours later. Hatake Kakashi had just appeared in Training Ground 7, eye smiling as he entered the clearing, however he quickly dropped that as he looked upon his students. Ino, who had been starving after skipping breakfast, was sitting close to the clear, beautiful pond in the training ground, side-eyeing the clear water in curiosity, wondering if it was clean enough to consume. Uchiha Sasuke seemed to have already went through an entire workout regimen, dripped in sweat, seemingly preparing to leave the area. Lastly, it took Kakashi a second to look around to find Naruto, who was currently off to the far left, sitting in a tree with 2 other Narutos, seemingly having a debate between who the strongest Hokage of all time was. After taking in his viewpoint, the copycat Nin cleared his throat, before announcing his presence, causing all 5 of the genin to gather in front of him. "Ahem, good morning my cute little genin," Kakashi began, trailing off as he stared at what he assumed was the original Naruto, who smiled sheepishly and dispelled his clones. "Well, before we—" "Oh no you don't," Ino quickly interjected, folding her arms and taking a step forward towards Kakashi, who subconsciously almost took a step back before composing himself. "You really think you can just walk up all nonchalantly, hours after you told us to be here? I swear I'm—" Grrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr chose to interrupt its owner at that moment in time. Ahem, Kakashi began, causing Ino to slink back between her two teammates. Sorry for being a little late, It's whatever, Kakashi, just tell us what we have to do already, Sasuke interrupted, appearing to be uncaring all the while wishing he could kick the man's ass for wasting his time. The Scarecrow Nin gave a simple eye smile towards the boy, before beginning his explanation of the belt test. A bit of a buzzkill, isn't he mused. A couple minutes later. You're joking, right? Naruto deadpanned, his teammates mirroring his disgusted expression. We just became teammates, and you're basically asking us to abandon one of our comrades for our own benefits, that right? 100%. Kakashi replied cheerily, attaching the two silver bells to his waist. Now, if there are no more questions, I think we're ready to begin. The Jonin finished, dropping his cheery attitude as he stared at the genin, causing them to put up their guard. Hajime! Exclaimed Kakashi, causing the trio of hopeful genin to disappear into the foliage. At least they seem competent enough to attempt to hide from me, the Jonin thought as he casually continued to stand in the clearing of the training ground. Kakashi continued to move nonchalantly around the clearing for a solid 10 minutes before he sighed and decided that maybe right now would be a good time to delve into the newest edition of the Ika Ika series, Ika Ika Innocence. As the shameless man reached for his pouch to grab the book, he quickly dropped back, avoiding two kunai aimed to skewer him from the left. As he turned his head, he saw Uchiha Sasuke standing just outside of the dense forest staring at him with his incomplete Sharingan, before he assumed his interceptor fist style and charged his potential sensei. Well, I certainly did not